Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of BopCast. Today on the show, we have another, that's two peats in a row, baby. We're going to do a three-peat as well, man. I mean, four or five. We'll just keep going forever.
Works, yeah.
Podcast is never ending, dude. That's how we do. But Jack Singleton here today, man. How you doing?
Good. How about you, man?
Living life, dude. Just trying to get as jacked as you, man. That's my number
getting
one.
close there.
Thank you, man. We're doing all right.
You're day by day. It's
dude. So in the beginning of this podcast, not in the beginning of this podcast, but when me and Tret started to help with the podcast, it was like a full like whoop strap grind mode fitness. Like, dude, you've like really. I just want to acknowledge that again because we're on a fitness podcast today.
yeah. But, no, I was going pretty hardcore into it with like the whoop and the whole like keeping track of everything. A lot of it too was like mostly diet. Like I was going to the gym every single morning. Like now it's kind of slowed down because I'm super busy with work. But I still check my whoop. Like I'm always like, honestly, what I'm more focused on right now is trying to get sleep, better at sleeping.
Yeah.
Because a lot of like the problem is my recoveries were super bad because I was sleeping 4 hours a night.
I don't know how the hell you were doing that, by the way. I can do 8. I do 7 or 8 hours. That's out.
Honestly, I don't really know either. It was really bad. Like I was like barely making it through the day.
Do you know the percentage of people that do that though? Like
a lot,
day in and day out.
A lot. But like I wasn't doing it like I was like, oh, like for work. Like I'm making so much more money because I'm not sleeping enough. It's like I'm just trying to like.
Yeah, sometimes it's tough to have a balance. You know, like it's like, oh, I want to get this much stuff throughout the day, but then it's like, at least for me, I have to prioritize my sleep because I notice immediately when I cut it back.
How much do you have to get?
I try to get at least 7 hours or more, like 7 to 8
That's
typically.
where I'm at.
Whereas you drop below 7, it's like you feel it immediately the next. Like it's such a difference.
Some people don't.
I don't. It's maybe it's something neurologically. I don't.
All right, first one, putting you to work already. Trent.
All right, I'm with it.
There is a gene that allows people to sleep 4 or 5 hours and feel absolutely nothing, like completely recovered. It's as Huberman's talking about it before.
Is it adenosine? Like you have when you throughout the day, you're building up. I think it's you build up adenosine, and then when you wake up, it's like that's like the whole thing where you're the most awake like a little bit after you wake up.
Yep.
Like adenosine, like I think it's more it builds up throughout the day, and then like when you sleep, you actually burn through the
and
adenosine.
that's where melatonin gets released, I think, because of that.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's like they're in rhythm, and I think it's probably something genetically with people who don't have like maybe their adenosine is like doesn't go above a certain amount, or like it doesn't peak at night, or something's off with it, where maybe they can function off. They don't feel that like sleepiness, like exhaustion that other people do.
Huberman was saying that people that wake up, and my girlfriend has this issue where she wake up like during the night and then not be able to really go back to sleep. And he's like, you probably have to wake up like at that time.
Yeah.
Like that's probably when your body actually wants to wake up. So you have to try to go to bed like an hour earlier.
It makes sense. Yeah.
You know, so you can just like almost just get that night's sleep. But I think a lot of it is which I agree with what he says, which is and a few people are saying now, which is the bedtime alarm. Like go to sleep at the same time every night. Like the time you wake up is actually, it doesn't even matter as much a little bit.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But
as if you can get that down consistently, that's obviously going to be the most ideal. I know when I start dieting, that's when I notice my sleep gets way more regimented, because one, it's more important, you got to be recovering optimally, and two, it's like you want to sleep because when you're dieting hard, you're pretty much exhausted the whole day, and you're like looking forward to like getting into bed and going to sleep again.
So how that must really be, I can imagine the physical, but like there must be a mental, because your brain, like sure, like people say carbs are the enemy and stuff like that, and we kind of, you know, if you do a little research, you start to understand like dietary things. But man, if you just have like a half a bagel or something, it's like like it's like it's mentally it feels good. Like I have a bagel with butter, dude. I'm like physically I feel okay. Like mentally I'm good. Like I have my eggs. Like I just feel like if there's a mental toll as well as the physical, like it's all intertwined, right? Would you think? I
would agree with that. Yeah, and I think like one of the things I've been trying to understand carbohydrates more, how they work in the body, especially because that's, as a bodybuilder and you're going into prep, like that's one of the things you're going to manipulate is your carb intakes.
Yeah.
So carbs, obviously, our brains, they love to fire off glucose. So that's why you're going to need carbs. And then a lot of people, what they'll do is go to keto or below 50 grams of carbs to like try to burn fat, lose some of the water, especially when you get closer and closer to prep. But the thing with carbs is they also lead to blood sugar spikes, and blood sugar spikes will affect other things like insulin, like the pancreas releasing insulin, but also the brain. And I think there's probably some connection with blood sugar spiking and dopamine release, and which is why people have those cravings more and more for carbohydrates, because that makes perfect sense to me. And you're also influencing ghrelin and leptin, which are your hunger and satiating hormones. So when you're depleting of carbs, you're not only not getting the dopamine response you're used to, but you're probably having a huge ghrelin, like you're starving, like survival mechanism kicks in right there.
I've been doing, I eat at, I wake up about 6:30. I eat at 10:30, 3, and 7.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
I did that after I did intermittent fasting for a year, lost way too much weight. And that's actually been interesting to me too, because a lot of people will talk about the mental benefits of intermittent fasting, but you can lose, people will intermittent fast and then like lose 5 pounds, but they'll lose 10 pounds of muscle and gain like 5 pounds of fat or something like that, and they'll be like, I lost weight, but it's like you lost
Not
everything.
the good weight.
So I honestly never realized that there is different, obviously we know that there's water weight, and then there's but beyond that, who knows really? You know, like you might know because you're in this and you like study these things, but the general population has no idea. They'll go on a diet, see the weight go down, and be like, it's a success, you know?
Yeah, and that's why keto is such became such a fad diet, is because people do keto and you could eat the same amount of calories, but you're lowering your carbs, and you'll see your weight go down because you're not holding as much water, since carbs hold water in the muscle. Glycogen is like your stored muscle. So if you have glycogen is made of sugar and water. So if you're not eating as many carbs, you're not going to have as much water sitting in your body and in your muscle. So you're going to shed that water out, and you're going to lose weight in terms of the water, not actually losing any tissue of fat or whatever. So that's why a lot of people get stuck. Like they'll do the keto diet, see them drop 5 pounds, and then they won't drop anymore. And it's like, well, because you just lost water, you actually have to drop your calories still, and that's the most important indicator.
So if you go up or down 5 pounds, it's like it's not really losing weight.
Yeah, and that's why I think long-term indicators, like doing like a weight check-in week over week over week over week, and comparing weekly rather than daily, because daily we fluctuate in water so much. Like,
that's what they say, don't do it daily, but like do it weekly or even bi-weekly or monthly.
And the scale will get in your head too, because there's so many things that are changing in your body, like muscle gain, fat loss, muscle loss, you know, there's so many different things happening that it's more important to have, I think, pictures. Like that's why I for me personally, week after week, same thing like I said with the scale, try to do week over week progress pictures, because that way you're not just looking in the mirror, you can look at the two pictures like side by side on your phone and be like, okay, I actually see the differences between this time period and this time period, not just, oh, I gained a pound or I lost a pound. Like it's way more it's a better analytical tool for trying to make the most out of your physique success.
Yeah, people are obsessed with numbers.
Yeah, exactly. And I tell people all the time at the gym, they're like, yo, I want to, like, you have someone who's like, oh, I want to hit this number, like I want to be 230 pounds or whatever. And it's like, you could do that, but maybe you just gained all water and fat.
Or maybe you gained it all to your legs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like it could be, it's very not indicative. So I tell everybody, I'm like, take same lighting, same time of day, progress pictures, so that you can actually see your body difference rather than just a number.
Are you interested in any, like, do you use any tracking, or like Tret has the Whoop strap? Like, do you have anything like
I
that?
use, so for me, I use MyFitnessPal for tracking my food, like calories and macros.
So you're logging that every day?
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
If I'm bulking, no. But when I'm on a cut, I got to make sure I'm pretty much down to the exact calorie and exact macro, especially when you get closer and closer to a show. So that's why I use MyFitnessPal, because it's, you know, you just have it right there, and it's pretty good data analytics too.
It's always been good. MyFitnessPal has always been pretty good. Like,
Huge
that's been the one.
Too.
Oh,
like,
really?
Yeah, like there's some, like I never have a problem finding foods on, and you can scan barcodes and just makes it easy.
Yeah, it's convenient.
And some people, well, I don't know how people like do a cutting process and don't have a food scale, because like if you ever try to eyeball like the weight of something, it is so impossible. Like,
I have to measure out my rice every single time I prep. Like, and I'm not doing it I'm literally doing it just to like cook the rice,
Yeah.
but I can't even eye that up.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. So let alone being like, oh, I'm going to make my cutting decisions based on like an eyeball. It's like, that's not going to help you very much.
Exactly. You're not benefiting yourself.
And the other thing people always forget when they're cutting too is like the little things. Like, say you have, oh, I'm just going to put this like 25 calorie sauce on some of my meals, right? But you do your 25 calorie sauce, 10 times throughout the day, just for, say, example, and that's 250 calories that you just added into your daily intake that you didn't account for. So people don't, like, some people are like, I don't know why I can't lose weight. A lot of times it's because you may be missing on something important, such as a sauce, like a condiment,
Ranch
like
dressing,
oil and something. Like, people will go out to eat and they don't realize their food's like drenched in oil a lot of the time. Like, you have to literally, you may be annoying, but if you're going to go out to eat, either make a time for it within your meal plan that, okay, this is the designated time. I'm going to go cheat, not worry about food. That's one way to do it. Or actually, and I've done this before, and it's kind of embarrassing to do in front of people, but you're like, hey, can I get grilled chicken and vegetables steamed, no oil on the chicken? And
You're saying when you go out.
Sometimes, yeah.
You would ask for that.
If I'm like very deep into a prep, yeah.
You better be wearing that shirt. If
so they understand.
So they kind of like at least get it. It's like, no, well, hey man, if I was a restaurant and there was, a bodybuilder,
you're still
in there or
getting
something,
money,
Yeah, and I want to do whatever. I kind of, I get the other side of it too, though, and I don't know. I'm very fixated on the oil, though. I'm so confused on if oil is I use my mom is just olive oil and garlic everything, dude, and that's the Italian way, you know, and. I love to use oil. Like, I cook with oil, it's olive oil all the time. I think the quality of the oil is important, but I have no idea if that's like good for you, bad for
Is it better than butter?
Yeah, it's definitely better than butter. Well, okay, so here's where we get into like saturated versus unsaturated fats.
Got it.
So a good way to tell if it's, I won't say if something's healthy for you or not, but it's going to be saturated if it's solid at room temperature. So butter, you leave it out, it's still going to be solid. Whereas olive oil, vegetable oil, like things like that, they're going to be liquid if you leave it at room temperature. And and the reason for this is because saturated fats have they're called saturated because they're saturated with hydrogen bonds. So they're in line, like the chemical structure is in line, so there's not much break in the bonds, whereas unsaturated or mono or unsaturated fats have a difference in their fatty chain so that they're more broken up, so they can be like, they're not as solid, but they're more of like a liquid because of the breaks in their chemical bonds. And that's why saturated fats, they'll stick in your body as a solid almost, whereas the liquids are a little bit easier to break down. And then there's like, healthy fats like olive oil. Those unsaturated fats are typically healthier, better on cholesterol, better on your lipid profiles, lipid profiles are just what type of cholesterol you have in your blood. Than those like butter, margarine, like your high saturated fats. And there's this whole argument of whether, like, what is it? I think it's coconut oil. Coconut oil is a solid at room temperature. A lot of people say it's like super healthy, good for you, but like technically it is straight saturated fat. So it's an argument that I won't get into because I don't know.
So that is the difference between oil and butter. Mm-hmm. Is that, but it makes perfect sense that something that's more fluid would digest or break down easier.
Yeah, exactly. And like I like to say too, like if you're tracking your food, there's anything is okay in moderation, and there's also a difference between, it's like I'd say just like your regular person dieting and your contest prep diet, because one's a lot more extreme. Like if you want to just have like six pack, be kind of toned, like be confident at the beach, like you can have a diet that's a little bit higher in fat and like a little less restrictive than someone who's like trying to get stage lean, striations throughout the muscle. Like that's a different level of, those are two completely different levels of dieting.
So it's not really, carbs have really been demonized, but fat isn't understood. Fat that you eat isn't the fat on your body.
Yeah.
So that doesn't make sense to most people.
I think it's like people will always, and I've been on the back and forth, but people will always try to point at one thing and be like, this is the one you should eat, or this is what's bad for you.
The guys on the videos trying to sell you a course and stuff.
Yeah, and like I don't know if you see on TikTok, but there's like the guys who like they'll literally go to the grocery store and be like, look, this has hydrogenated oil in it. You can never eat this. Like it's so bad for you. It'll cause cancer. Like the best diet, I think, is just a balanced diet. So like you watch your fats, you watch your carbs, have high protein if you're trying to build muscle. Like pick a diet that's towards your goals. So for someone who's an athlete, you may want something that's higher in carbohydrates because you're going to need those carbohydrates to use for energy, or else you're going to be a little bit weaker if you don't have that energy, or you fully commit to a keto diet and run your body off ketones, which is the higher fat, low carb diet. So it's, you kind of pick what your goal is. Like, so bodybuilders, they're going to have a high diet in protein because to build muscle, high carbohydrates to burn off and use during their workouts, and then medium to low fat because they just want the fat for the health purposes of good heart health. But like too high fat, it's super calorie dense, like they're going to keep that low. So it really depends on what your goals is and what works for you. Like some people may be happier with like a higher fat diet. It might work better for the digestion. They might feel better overall, and some people work better off carbs. I think a lot of it's more genetics than we actually understand.
Yeah, that's how I feel too, because I eat a bagel every day.
Yeah, I'm dependent on carbs.
And I literally do not feel any different. For me, the first meal of the day, especially fasted a little bit, like I said, like those 4 hours, 6:37 to 10:30, fasted a little bit, like I could eat a horse, you know? Like I could eat 6 eggs, 2 bagels, like 2 full bagels, oatmeal. Like I can do it all. Like I could eat more than I even eat. Because I don't know, I'm just so hungry at that time. But the thing is though, like I will say, since I did the intermittent fasting though, I very, very rarely get the hunger pangs, you know, like the physical hunger. Like I feel hungry, but it's not the same as it was before.
And there's like I feel like there's little diet tricks I've learned. Like, well, one, staying busy. When you're busier, you're not going to think about food as much or think about hunger, because I think a lot of times, you know, we're watching a TV show, you have you're like, oh, I could eat something to entertain myself, you know, chips, whatever. Fast food, super convenient. Like prepping your own meals, keeping yourself busy. Those are 2 things to help you with your diet. Another thing is like diet drinks. People like say they're so bad for you, but they're really one of the best things you can do to like satisfy your sugar craving.
What do you mean by diet drink then?
Like diet sodas, seltzers.
So you're like a Diet Coke.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'll be honest.
You're saying that's not that bad?
No, I think they get a really bad rap because people are like, oh, diet soda, like they contain all these artificial sweeteners.
Is it
but
better than it is better than regular?
If
Coca-Cola,
your goal is trying to lose weight, then you're going to like, it's better to drink diet soda than it is to drink regular soda, because there's about if you're a can of Coke probably has about 40 grams of carbs, where a diet Coke has no carbs.
Got it.
And they've been kind of demonized, I feel like, because of the artificial sweeteners. There was like, I think it was like this, a study went viral that there was a connection between artificial sweeteners and cancer. And it's like, you could pretty much connect anything with cancer.
Especially if it's a correlation.
Yeah,
there's correlations
exactly.
to like the moon, full moon, and like cancer.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
You can make a correlation to anything.
Exactly. And people just, and that's what happens
in
a lot
one
of time.
study, they'll lock on a one study and be like, this is the study.
And you can make it a headline like, oh, it's so surprising, like how, like, you know, it's gonna get clicks, it's gonna get shares, it's gonna get views. Whereas there was a study done, and obviously this study looked at Diet Coke and regular Coke on weight loss specifically, not looking at cancer or whatever. So they took the diet group ended up losing more weight than the regular group, and that's because their total calories consumed is less than the Coke group, because they're getting an extra 30 something grams of carbs, which is 100 something calories from the Coke that they're drinking, versus the diet where they don't need to, like, they're not getting that amount.
Yeah, that would make perfect sense that they're not lying. I mean, dude, Coca-Cola doesn't really lie. Oh, I didn't even see what we have here.
I'm curious. This is from cancer.gov, and it says the results of these studies showed that no evidence that these sweeteners cause cancer or pose any threat to human health.
Yeah, and I know I'm honestly
right here.
Yeah, dude, and those there's
zero sugar.
Yeah, that's what I only do 0 sugar anything. I don't drink anything with sugar.
It's really I don't know,
or at least
man.
not intentionally.
Okay, so you
when I
have,
bulk, I do just because it's enjoyment. But when I'm like cutting, trying to be in shape, diet.
but there's no doubt that a fucking 5-hour energy is giving you cancer. Come on.
Well, those are crazy.
Yeah, but it's like what's in there?
I mean, that's got to be just the caffeine content then. That's actually being bad for you.
Yeah, maybe that. I don't know, dude. Yeah, my
Yeah, that's different because there's the cat. Well, now we're going to like, like your stimulants.
Dude,
are the
can we get
stimulants
a
having
5-hour
negative
energy
effect.
ingredients? I gotta see this.
Yeah, I'm curious because
Yeah.
I know those like hit hard compared to like other energy.
Dude, and I know
drinks.
people who like I'm
It's
working.
like espresso versus coffee. Sorry.
Yeah.
cut you
Yeah,
off.
no, you're good. It is though, and I'm pretty sensitive. I'm pretty sensitive to caffeine, and I drink it every day.
Yeah,
and
I
I
just drink a
feel
lot
it
of it.
every day
Yep.
when I drink it.
I have a problem with before, but if I have caffeine, which I am right now, it's
No,
if
that's
I'm
why I
like-
think you're crazy because I could never do that. I mean, I
Yeah.
did drink. I drank a little coffee at like 4:00, but I'm like, that'll probably keep me up. Honestly.
Yeah, and I have my sleep is kind of on a late schedule. Like I'll sleep at midnight and then wake up at like 8 a.m. because I work from home, so I can like get ready very quickly, get on like my computer by 9. So it's like that's 8 hours of sleep right there, and I'm sleeping like midnight is late to some people, but I can do it for me.
Yeah, I am very tired if I just go to bed past 10:30. It doesn't
really?
matter what time I wake up. Yeah, so
See, I
that's
can't go to sleep earlier than that.
prime for me is go to bed at 10, wake up naturally at 6:30.
Okay.
I'll never feel better in my entire
Unless I'm sick, I can't do that.
life. Okay.
So taurine, I see taurine, so that's in a lot of energy drinks.
Yeah, that's pretty standard.
It's actually-
there's not that many freaking.
No, there's not that much in it.
If you wait, what's that?
Where does the cancer come from?
What do you?
For-
I can,
for
like,
people
I can,
listening,
like,
we're-
zoom in on it.
Yeah, if
For,
you can.
for people listening, we're finding the
glucochronic
ingredients of 5-hour
acid,
energy.
malic acid. So it's 230 milligrams of caffeine.
Yeah.
I don't know what L-phenylalanine is. That might be like a focus thing.
Yeah, probably one of those.
We're gonna get into some chemistry.
pseudo nootropics or something like that.
All right, I'll look it up and you guys can.
I know a guy who's a weed chemist now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that's interesting. Doing
Interesting.
dabs and stuff like
Well,
that.
and that's with
Not doing dab. I mean, he's probably doing maybe. No, he doesn't actually. I don't think he does the dabs, but he makes them
Huh?
or something
Interesting.
like that.
Interesting.
Yeah. Some kind of
In Jersey?
Is he a
in
master
Jersey.
grower?
In Jersey, he's a
Yeah,
head.
maybe.
He's a headmaster grower.
Well, that's what like the official title is, like
My
master grower.
My cousin
like,
is a grower. I don't know. I've always said he's a master grower. He's been on the podcast. Like, it's a fantastic podcast, by the way. For anybody who wants to learn about sativa, indica, and anything weed related, you could talk to him. But or you can watch that podcast, Kyle Markovich, my cousin. But yeah, this guy I know is a chemist at a dispensary, and now and what I was talking to somebody about this. How I was actually talking to a CBD marketer.
That's amino
let's go.
acid. See it.
What do we
I
got?
knew phenylalanine was
Dude, 5-hour energy is actually not that bad.
Yeah, it's just because it's so much caffeine at once.
Yeah, 230 milligrams caffeine is a lot,
In-
especially in such a
that's
the
small
little. That's why.
container.
Yeah, I
I've
think
tried
that's-
them and they're just too strong.
I
with
know
the
people
taste.
like
Yeah.
like I was saying. I know people. I have a coworker who he's in his late 40s, early 50s. You know,
Yeah.
to go through life, maybe it doesn't hit you as hard, but we'll do a DJ gig and he'll have an energy drink and a 5-hour energy.
Yeah,
that
that's-
he'll probably do it over the course of 5 hours, but
Well, and you're
it's 7-8 o'clock at night when he's drinking it.
Yeah.
It's like,
well, he's trying to stay up through the night too.
yeah, I guess, but I don't know.
And you
dude.
get caffeine intolerance. Like you're gonna.
That's
well,
probably
you're
too.
you're gonna have to take more heavier
Oh,
dosage
and the
every time.
caffeine. What is that? That blocks the thing.
Adenosine.
The adenosine.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's you build up adenosine throughout. It's coming back to me, my neuro. So you build up adenosine throughout the day, and the caffeine, what it'll do is it'll block the receptor, so the adenosine can't increase. Or I think it's still increasing, but it's not binding to you to make you feel tired, which is why we have the caffeine crash, because adenosine is still building, and then the receptor is now released, and now adenosine swarms in because there's so much of it, and then you're like, oh, I'm exhausted because you just had this huge block of the adenosine, and now you have a huge rush of adenosine, and that's the caffeine crash.
Yeah, and that's when you drink. And I don't know. According to these studies that Andrew Huberman was talking about, like it's natural to have a crash around in the afternoon.
Yeah, it is, because
regardless
higher
of caffeine.
adenosine.
Yeah. So it just naturally happens. But I'm very curious about the circadian rhythm
Yeah.
and like kind of optimizing that. Like every morning, because I live here, so I have to go outside to like go in my house. So I just walk. I have to be outside every morning by default. So it's good. And then I just kind of like hang out for like a few minutes and just like look up at the sky.
Yeah.
And like that exposure, it seems really kind of weird, but like
helpful.
The exposure to sunlight, your body ends up, I don't know if it's a adenosine or something else, but like 16 hours later something's released, and then that's like your circadian clock, and that'll make you tired and be able to go to sleep. But that's the thing, when you stay up later, then you're pushing past that point.
You're switching it a little bit.
And it really is like, there really is sleep debt. I think it's accumulated.
I think so too, And with more and more people getting less and less sleep, I think sleep is probably more of a common factor on our health than a lot of people realize. Like, if you're sick, you should really be getting a lot of sleep, because that's when your body's going to do like the most efficient immune response is going to be during sleep, because it's going to utilize all your resources to fight any infection rather than walking, thinking, all of that. Because when you're asleep, you're letting your body do a full rest physically. Just mentally, you're going to have your dreams and stuff, so it lets the immune system do all the work that it can. And less and less people, with how busy we are, more caffeine intake among our generations, less and less people are getting the amount of sleep that they need. So it doesn't surprise me that there's worries that that'll lead to, more disease for our generations down the road.
Unfortunately, yeah, we are, honestly, I know there's a lot of unhealthy people, but I think we are much more of a physical generation. Like, we are a blast caffeine, blast your Starbucks, but like go to the gym.
Yeah, exactly. It's way more, it's like active.
Sleep 5 hours, but then bang out a 2-hour workout. Like, we're so like motivated to do the physical because it makes us think that we're healthy
and feel better,
because it does make us feel better. But the reason we have to feel better is because we're running at 60%.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Day in and day out of caffeine, then more caffeine, then eat shitty food, then go to the gym, I feel a little bit better, then grind, crash, do it all again.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And on the topic of sleep, another thing that I try to be mindful of, being someone who, as I start to get heavier when I'm putting on weight, is sleep apnea. Because I've gotten complaints that I snore when I get heavy, and I've debated a couple sleep studies, because it's sleep apnea can actually lead to a very early death in people. It's like one of the worst things for your heart, because you're having that like stoppage of oxygen through your lungs while you're sleeping multiple times a night, and you're not even getting efficient sleep. So that's something I've been trying to be mindful of, is making sure. I want to do a sleep study soon, but I don't think I'm at the point where I would actually get prescribed a CPAP machine. But I know people who have needed it, and they've said it makes a world of difference. But I also know people, like one guy at the gym, he said he did a sleep study, and in order to get the CPAP machine prescribed, you have to stop breathing. I think it was like 12 times within an hour. And they said he stopped breathing 11 times so he wouldn't get prescribed the CPAP machine. I was like,
insurance is a scam.
Yeah. And he's had a whole lot of issues with insurance and stuff like that. But that's a whole other topic of, insurance making decisions for us, our health decisions.
Dude, my girlfriend went to buy birth control at CVS, right? So she's checking out the birth control. Guy rings it up. $0, right?
Yeah.
Insurance. She's a teacher, right? She has some of the best insurance you can get in this country. She's a teacher. And the guy goes, he's like 20 years old, dude. He goes, yeah, you should really be paying for that. I go, do you drive a car?
Yeah.
So you're telling me that you get in a car accident and you go, hey, I got it. I'll pay for it.
Yeah.
You tell the insurance, hey, no worries. I'll cover the $3,500.
That's the whole point
cost
of insurance.
Yeah, so it's like we won't go down the insurance rabbit hole past this point, but it really is insurance is such a crazy business.
Well, I was going to talk about estrogen and testosterone because, I don't have an opinion on this, but just to put things in perspective, if you are going to be prescribed estrogen, which is a lot of what birth control is, estrogen and progesterone or both, you are, it's going to be, I think it's covered now. I think under the Obama administration, they made it covered that birth control would be $0 because of the insurance covering it. Whereas testosterone is one of the hardest things to get prescribed. TRT in New Jersey is one of the hardest things you can do. Like, your test levels have to be so tanked for a long period of time for the insurer to allow you to not to get a prescription for TRT.
You have to be on your deathbed, basically.
Yeah, like you literally have to be miserable. Like, so there's like the typical numbers for like average testosterone is 200 nanograms per deciliter through about 1,000, whereas 1,000 is like really good, and 200 is like, for most people they would feel miserable, but insurance companies are like, oh, you're 200, you're good, you don't need TRT. But if you're 199, let's keep doing, let's see how your levels are. Because I've known guys who they got their blood taken, they were in the 150s, and their insurer was like, okay, we got to make sure this isn't just a one-time thing, you have to go get follow-up blood work. They go 220, they're like, oh, you're good now. It's like, and they still feel like
next
crap.
day he's 150.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, and that's the thing, is testosterone levels are so variable throughout the day that like you could accidentally just bump up above the 200 threshold. Now insurers like, oh, we won't cover it. So my whole point was like, you have estrogen, which is fully easily covered by insurance, but then you have testosterone. So they're both hormones, just, your sex characteristic hormones, but one, since it's a controlled substance, testosterone, it is way harder for insurers to allow you to get it compared to estrogen, which is now given out. Like,
but men
so
aren't
freely.
But men aren't different than women, guys.
Yeah,
so.
Yep, exactly.
So,
that's
why
men
point.
benefit the system more than women. That's like the argument, right?
Dude, yeah.
But yeah, that's just one example with insurers and hormones, like controlling.
Oh, and the standards are not like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, no, and it's like the problem with, I think, insurance, and don't want to get too deep into the whole American healthcare system, but you have insurance companies making the decisions for doctors, and it's the doctor should be making the medical decisions, not the insurer.
That's why I listen
They're the
to
ones with the degree.
podcasts with doctors who really, like, I don't really know what they're talking about, but I really do try to understand, because when our Dr. Peter Attia, I'm not sure if you're familiar.
Sounds familiar.
It's called The Drive.
Okay.
This guy is so his Dr. Peter Attia is a anti-aging doctor. Okay,
gotcha.
So people will pay exorbitant amounts of money to go to his clinic, and he will coach them through how they can live as long as possible.
Does he talk about growth hormone at all?
He talks about
I was gonna
anything you can think of and everything you've never heard of too.
Interesting.
And he was talking about what's the thing when
oh, cool.
The man, dude. The Drive is his podcast for anybody listening. Fantastic podcast, but you gotta be. I mean, dude, if you're sleepy at all, don't listen to it because you're gonna fall asleep. He is everything. You name it. What is the thing that you go get an exam when you're 50 and they put their
colonoscopy?
So he's saying if they started doing those. He said if everybody did one every day, like this is not like he's not suggesting this, but if you did one every day, you would never get colon cancer.
Really?
Because he said he thinks that most people who have colon cancer had a polyp that just their doctor never saw.
Oh, they never caught it.
Yeah, he's like, that's the cause of colon cancer. It's just a polyp that just goes that nobody sees. And so he's like, he said if we just started doing it in like late 20s or whatever, he's like, we'd probably reduce it by 95%.
Interesting.
But it costs about $2,000 to do it.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, is like, there's a lot of things that would keep us healthier, probably be better for our health, but they cost too much money.
Sleep study. How much is a sleep study?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's probably.
I want my girl to get one because she doesn't sleep well, but it's like, I don't know if it's much out of pocket.
Yeah. And it's like, what if you go through it and you just don't get anything out of it?
Yeah, or
you're
I
just
the insurance doesn't even
cover it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. I'm like, oh no, if you get a sleep study, the insurance will definitely cover something.
Yeah. Let's see. How much does a sleep? So about what is that?
A sleep study
$3,000, and that's
$500 to $3,000.
Not with insurance.
No, and I doubt insurance is going to cover. That's like a additional.
Yeah, it's only for.
If you went to it probably depends, because if you went to your doctor, the doctor determined you had severe sleep problems, and to your thing about not being able to get test doesn't deter birth. So it's like the estrogen thing is for a function. They would never give estrogen away.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So and it's like the way that they choose these things, like who really knows, obviously shit is messed up. But I also saw a video from More Plates, More Dates.
Okay.
And with a kid who had super duper low test and like looked like us.
Yeah.
And like his was below the 200. And like he got his results and he was like, I don't even know what's happening. And so Derek was like trying to break it down or try to,
he's really good.
He's
I love his stuff.
Amazing. By the way, anybody listening or watching who if you're into this conversation now, you'll probably enjoyed More Plates, More Dates because you made it this far. But yeah, man, he breaks down like everything, right? He'll break down the steroids usage or like weird side effects. He'll be like, yeah, this happened because of this, or like, yeah, I love his breakdown.
His pharmaceutical background, like I don't think he has
he has no professional training,
but he knows so much of pharmacology, like the rate of absorption, the rate of breakdown, like metabolism of drugs. Like it's crazy how much he knows for just being like, yeah, I'm just gonna do this with like almost no education. It's like crazy.
Yeah, and I love his. He's just in the basement with the like
with the
wood
sauna. They call it the sauna.
The sauna,
yeah,
the sauna, aka like the '80s basement.
Yeah,
that like half of it's like just a wooden bar area. Like I could just paint the picture in my head.
He's good.
Well, that's a testament to. Yeah,
and then the delts,
dude, he's jacked to the motherfucking
people
max,
will put they'll put the, what's it called?
Go to that one on the left, Tret.
The one where
super duper jacked.
He's
someone
photoshopped
like
basketballs into his shoulders.
Yeah. Yeah. Is that?
That's like the typical. Yeah. They're like Death Star delts. That's it.
Alpha Destiny. Do you know him?
No.
Alpha Destiny is cool, dude. He's from probably like 6-7 years ago. He still makes videos and stuff similar to this guy, just never blew up. But yeah, he's got great content too. Well, he's like my size, but like jacked. Yeah. So like he looks super jacked, but he's like 150 pounds. Type of one of those guys. Yeah, he's I like these guys because they're homegrown, man.
Now this is interesting because More Place More Dates has blown up recently. YouTube used to be the only, I remember being a kid, YouTube was the only place you could get like your fitness, bodybuilding, dieting content. And now it's like you have Instagram, TikTok, like so many more resources that let people like blow up off of that information and being able to get that information to consumers.
CT Fletcher and the Hulk. You remember that? That was like high school days. That was what we did to get fired up about lifting, dude. Do CT Fletcher and the Hulk. Just throw it up so anybody watching on YouTube can see it, like just so they can have that visual of CT Fletcher and the Hulk from back then. But
just screaming, dude.
Yeah, dude, he's such a wealth of information.
Yeah, he knows a lot.
Yeah, that and just just the fact of what we're mentioning, like just being able to. Yeah, dude. I mean, the Hulk is just. I mean, come on.
Crazy,
dude. That guy's. I can't even guess how much he weighs. But even CT couldn't even walk, and they were like, CT, you can't walk. He's like, I got it, and he starts walking, falls flat on his face. Like he's that type of guy. Like straight off surgery, no recovery, just like walks out of
heart issues.
Yeah, he died. Oh, he hasn't.
Did he pass away?
His story's crazy.
Did he actually?
He has it. He feels like he has the heart. So he has a heart transplant. He feels.
He has the person's Asian heart,
lady's heart. Like he feels her. Like he's like, I feel this lady in me.
Yeah,
crazy.
And I feel like that's something other people have said. Like when they get an organ transplant, it's like they almost feel like there's part of that person with them, which could be, I guess, psychological, but maybe there is something physical there of like, the genes crossing over or something.
My dad is a heart transplant patient.
Really?
No way, Tret.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Shit. Have you ever met? I don't even think you mentioned
that. Those surgeries are becoming way more successful and easier. It's crazy how much they've changed in the last
When was that, Tret?
He had a heart transplant in I think it was 99.
Wow.
Yeah, so he's going on, 20 years, right? Am I right on that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Dude,
yeah, over 20 years. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, my girlfriend's dad beat cancer and also had a triple bypass too.
Whoa. Yeah, that's crazy.
Two separate things, I guess. But dude, it's some people man, when you go through shit like that, life is different.
Well, how unlucky is that?
Yeah,
to get cancer and need a heart surgery.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
And one of the riskiest surgeries there is, other than the open brain surgery. Which Joe Byron got an open brain surgery. I don't know if people know that, but
I had no idea.
I didn't know that.
Good to know.
Yeah, dude, they opened him up and ain't been the same.
Something's
happened.
That surgeon doesn't exist anymore.
This country's fine right now, dude. Economy's booming.
We're gonna get canceled.
Oh, I already did that. Episode 4, boss.
Yeah. Why don't we just try to get as canceled as possible?
Yeah, I'm not one of those guys that really tries to do it, but I just have my opinions, and then I don't know.
Yeah, people get way too upset over things they probably shouldn't.
Yeah, but
I think it's boredom. I think people are way too bored and they're on their phones way too much.
Yeah, that's 100% it. They're bored, they're on their phones, and they're not where they want to be.
Huh. He had a life-threatening brain You think more people would know about this, but they probably hide it.
I had a brain aneurysm.
We have Joe Biden here.
1988, I guess.
What?
I love when he talks in numbers. It's so funny when
There's 400 billion unvaccinated.
And he's usually talking about the wrong thing. Too.
No way. Dude,
More people. And
can we just call it, dude? It's like, can we just send somebody? I know you're pulling the string. Send somebody else. In there, dude.
Yeah, exactly. It'll happen.
Yeah,
we're just waiting. We're waiting for the right time.
I feel pretty good. I feel pretty healthy.
I was
taking what
I was
they
watching
get.
the Bad Friends podcast with Andrew Santino and Bobby Lee.
Great podcast.
And they were talking about Joe Biden. He's like, Andrew Santino. He's like, I literally watched that man die during a during a press conference. He's like, he stopped, went blank, died, and then somebody was puppeteering him.
Yep. Dude, 100%.
Someone with a voodoo doll is shaking him. Come on.
Hey, dude, Elon Musk is a lizard. Everybody knows that. Government controls the weather. I'm going off on the facts.
Birds aren't real.
Birds aren't real. We got it, guys.
I'm getting worried about food. I buy most of my groceries.
You got salmonella, didn't you?
Yeah, I did from Jif. They had the peanut butter recall, and so what happened was, it was Monday, and I started my stomach was in knots, and I could not get even sips. I could not get fluids down. I was like, okay, maybe I just got a stomach bug, right? Maybe stomach virus, whatever. It was day went by, I still wasn't at all better, and I was getting to the point where I was gonna have to go to the hospital because of dehydration because I could not get fluids down. And then finally Thursday I had an online meeting with the doctor. He was like, okay, this should have been over if it was viral, so I'm gonna give you a prescription, an antibiotic. I was like, okay. So I took that day. The next morning, I woke up feeling so much better. And then 2 days later, the Jif releases their whole thing about the salmonella recall. And I was like, okay, let me check my peanut butter that I just went through the whole tub of to make sure, to see if it was one of them. And then I look and I went on Jif and I put in the product code. Yep, it was one of the salmonella peanut butter ones. So had me so sick. And thank God I had the antibiotic because that... that's going to kill the salmonella, or else I would have been, I probably would have had to go to the hospital. And I know someone who had to go to the hospital for salmonella poisoning too, because of the same recall. Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow. Yeah, because you see him on TV your entire life, but you don't really. You just okay, well, those people got sick.
Yeah,
you just don't think about it,
Yeah, and I think it just happened. So I think it was Kentucky where that plant was that had the outbreak.
Hey, man, we don't know really much about what happened.
And then that goes to the whole East Coast, and we're East Coast, so we got it.
Got it, Kentucky. I mean, listen, dude, I got no problem with Kentucky. I've never even been there.
It sucks because I like
Jack Harlow.
Jif more than Skippies, but now I'm maybe I got to be a full Skippies guy.
Probably the actual truth is that it could just happen
to anyone.
With food.
Yeah, it could happen. I'm sure it probably happens more often than we think. It just doesn't always get caught. It probably happens a lot because I think salmonella. So if you touched meat and then you touched the peanut butter in the production plant, now and then that salmonella because it's bacteria, it's just going to multiply. That's because it's usually from cross-contamination, which probably happens in restaurants a lot more often than we think.
Oh.
Do you really trust everybody to wash their... You've seen people working in restaurants?
Dude, restaurants are disgusting,
yeah,
dude. But do I care? No.
No, I'm still going to eat the food.
No, you put the thing in front of me, I'm going to eat it. But
it
I don't think about it when I'm eating it. But, dude, especially a chain.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. You know what? The chains actually might be better because they have,
regulations.
Universal protocols.
Yeah.
Because they actually have more to lose.
Yeah, yep.
But they are franchises, though, so it could
have the money for lawsuits to back them up, probably.
Yeah, that too.
But, yeah, I think it's, that's why you have to be, you hope they're following their inspections because that's probably where the food contamination would come through.
I watch like I said, I eat breakfast at 10:30 and I work from home and so Bar Rescue every day.
Yeah.
I watch Bar Rescue every single day 10:30. If you call me at 10:41 in my half an hour breakfast window,
you're not answering.
Dude, and if you do call me, you better be watching fucking Bar Rescue.
Yeah.
And I don't even care if it's rerun, dude. I just watch it and I'm thinking how many restaurants are exactly like this, but John Taffer's not there.
Yeah, well, I used to watch Kitchen Nightmares with Gordon Ramsay, and that was the same thought. I was like, how disgusting are some of these freezers that like you just never see because you're just ordering the food and like never going back there.
But then you got Anthony Bourdain, hole in the wall restaurant in Pakistan or something, and it's like the best food in the world.
Thing. It's like, am I gonna question it if the food's good? Probably not.
Probably not.
Yeah. Be like, I'm coming back here every time.
Yeah, dude. No, there's so. I mean, it's just amazing how the supply chain like works. Like it doesn't actually take that much to like shut everything down. Like I think code kind of showed us that a little bit, but it really is like if we don't have mass distribution like we have, like dude, if you're not here and you can't like go fish and kill deer and stuff, like you'd be screwed.
Oh yeah, and like
very screwed.
And a lot of foods that we get are the common foods that people eat are what do you call it? They're not. I don't want to say natural, but they're like refined or like
processed.
Thank you.
Yeah,
it's like the processed foods are the ones that usually are affected by a supply chain because they take multiple steps to come down. But then you have farms are where you're going to rely on like your meats and your produce. But processed food is like a whole nother argument because I don't know if you focused on gut health at all.
Yeah, I'm really. It's one of those things where everybody says something different from what I've seen. Like it's like take probiotics, and then I see a thing. It's like probiotics don't do anything. Yeah, your gut will replenish, and I'm like, okay. So then they're like eat kimchi and like relish, and I'm like, okay, I could do that. But then they say, oh no, it'll replenish. So like, it seems to be there's what have you seen? Because I have not seen anything like in terms of like universally this is the thing.
It's hard to do. Gut health is honestly not that well studied. That's another thing. It's
or understood.
Exactly. So it's a fairly new thing, and a lot of times what people are saying are just from like they're pushing whatever. Like if they're like, oh, I'm professional in studying gut health, they're probably going to push whatever gut health products they're using or whatever. Personally, one of the things I've grown to learn is don't always list like take things from people. Write them down, try them, and see what works for you, because another thing is genetics. Like we're all different, so someone's gut health might be different than someone else's. Like for me, I just try to get Greek yogurt in every morning because that has probiotics. There's pre and probiotics. Pre feeds is the food that feeds the bacteria, good bacteria in your gut. I just try to get that in because I think it helps. And I've noticed when I went away from processed foods, my digestion was so much better. But when I stick with the processed foods, that's when I notice issues in my digestion. And then dairy, that's another one that can throw off your digestion. But personally, I don't have that many issues with it. But I know people, they'll eat one thing dairy and they're like, their digestion is screwed for the next couple of days.
Yeah, I have no issue with dairy at all.
Yeah.
Tret, do you have any issue with dairy?
No.
No,
Zero.
You're good. Yeah,
I've
I'm good.
heard it's so genetically a lot of European countries, they were the ones to like start getting milk from cows, so they were able to adapt and have the lactase enzymes produced in their body. Whereas people who are from like other parts of the world, if their genetics are from that, they're gonna not have the genetics for the lactase enzyme. So when they have lactose in their body, they don't have the lactase to break it down into sugar. So it goes right through them.
So it really is genetic.
Yeah,
based,
yeah,
100%.
100%. Yeah, and like I think it's like more people are lactose intolerant than people who aren't lactose intolerant.
Yeah, I enjoy being in the minority,
yeah.
but I also think your body can adapt.
I think so too. It's like
I've had milk my whole life is what I'm saying. And like I don't know if I'm good on dairy now because I've literally had milk every day.
Yeah.
Like I don't have it every day now, but I literally drank it every day.
I wonder if it's like we're more able to adapt to things if we're introduced to them young. So like foods and like environmental stimulus that are introduced young, you're more likely to like if you were going to have a reaction to it, you had it when you were young and it kind of adapted at that point. Like, but then we get older and our body has a lot harder time of adapting to those things. One thing is like, I don't know if you've heard of like how language is so much easier for children to learn than it is for adults, because you have so much more growth available when you're a kid than when you're an adult. Your brain and your body has kind of like already been, like changed and altered and set into this one direction biologically, that it's a lot harder to break free from that.
I think they call that neuroplasticity.
Yeah, neuroplasticity, yeah.
And there's... Dude, I'm very interested in the psychedelics.
Yeah, because they probably, break those pathways.
Yeah,
and
that's what they
open it.
say, that it literally carves, like it's like it's like a road. you
Yeah,
know,
that's
like
a good
dirt
way to
road.
put it, yeah.
And there's the tracks, the tire tracks,
then
and,
you can
it
cross
can
'em.
kind of wipe them, and so you can have new tracks.
Yeah, I used to do. I got trained to do fMRI, like to like be part of like the researching for that, and I've looked into like some of the fMRI studies on the psychedelics, and they do show like the pathways of the brain showing the same stimulus like pre and post drug use. It's like you have so much more activation across several areas compared to like the normal pattern of firing. So they would test like your different senses. So that's why sometimes like when people take psychedelics, they claim like, oh, I thought I could like taste smells, right? And it's because your taste area of your brain and your smell area of the brain, which typically
They're communicating,
yeah,
right?
yeah, in a different way than they have before. And that's why like all your senses can now like, talk to one another rather than being in their own realm for communication.
I'm telling you, dude, I haven't done it in a little while now, but I love microdosing.
Mm-hmm.
I love it, and it's not something that I want to do all the time or want to do a lot. It doesn't do that to you. It actually, you have a mental, in my opinion, it's a mental clarity, and then it's a full motivational. Like it's not like Adderall or anything like that. Like it's a weird feeling, man. But it feels like it's definitely dopamine related, 100%. It has to be.
Yeah.
And what Huberman was saying was that dopamine, people think that it's reward, but it's really drive.
Okay.
So dopamine is actually drive to do something, not reward to get something.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so he was like breaking down the myths, and he talked to him and Jocko Willing had a 5-hour podcast, and I watched like most of
Jocko's
it.
great. Yeah,
Love Jocko's content, dude. And when they do the military stuff, I don't really know what's going on, but
it's cool to hear.
yeah, dude. I sometimes I'll tune into it and just oh man, we flanked left, and then and I'm like,
and his voice sounds like a movie, so like you're like engaged into it.
Yeah, dude. That's why he's perfect for books, because like the audio book is just him talking like this the whole time.
Dude, you kind of have his voice. That's kind of crazy.
I try to
do some good impersonations. Yeah,
I've been working on them.
Yeah,
it depends what I get.
Yeah, he's awesome. I listen to a lot.
Right track. I got great impersonations.
The best.
Thanks, buddy. Good shit. I got you. But nah, dude. I mean, shit. I love. But him and Huberman together were
crazy.
It was a banger, dude. Because he went through like his childhood. It was 5.5 hours.
Yeah.
And so he went through his childhood. Then they had like full 3 hours on all this stuff, like dopamine and how he lived in his lab.
Yeah.
And like slept in the lab, and then when he slept in the second lab, because he like didn't want to have an apartment or whatever, because there was a shower there, and then they were like, "You can't do this anymore."
Yeah,
dude.
you got to get a home.
He's like, "All right, I'll get a dog then and go get a house."
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it's not for everybody. I was just we just had my friend Young Benny on last night. He's like, dude, I watched 30 minutes of Joe Rogan, I just couldn't do it. I think a lot of people, I'm so predisposed to it, like it's perfect. Like people will watch a movie and go, that's my shit, dude. I watch a podcast and I feel the exact same way.
For me, it's content related. I feel like content, because there's some Joe Rogan episodes I'm like, I can't listen to this.
Oh, me too.
And then there's some where I'm like so engaged throughout the whole thing, where I'll like literally be like, what did I miss? Like if I accidentally like got busy for 15 seconds, I'll like have to come back to it and be like, listen over it again. Okay, I got that. There's certain podcasts you're just that engaged.
So I was setting that TV up or something. I was doing something in the studio. I was setting something up, and I had one in the background, and it was a guy talking about, he was talking about consciousness.
Okay.
And just the theories. It would I would have to sit down and almost write out these theories to really try to grasp them. And it's like, I can't just passively listen to this podcast. I can't even really listen to it because I don't know what to grab onto. And then the other day he had his name's Colion Noir.
Okay.
He's a black dude, pretty ripped NRA guy.
Okay.
And he's,
I know. Yeah, I know him. Yep.
He's good, man. He's good. And they talk about the NRA and the shootings and all that stuff. It's
yeah.
Cool. That all right, I want to know what the NRA guy thinks, because that's a more topical thing. But some of those real deep ones, man, it's tough. It's a job. It's a chore.
And they a lot of times they're when you're listening to a professional talk, sometimes they're talking so complex about what they're saying. You have to be like, hold up, I need to hear this at half-time speed because I need to, like, I can't process this at the level this guy is.
Not like
know?
us fucking idiots. Just,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
shit
They're
off,
like
but,
way over my head with stuff.
But dude, so we did like 2 hours on the last podcast, and
Yeah.
we didn't even touch on training at all.
Yeah,
so
that's a good point.
Yeah, man. So I definitely want to talk about that. And you know, for me, training has been in the last 3 years like almost purely mental, like 80% mental.
Okay.
And then just the physical side is just like I need to maintain a certain level, like you were saying, like look good on the beach, whatever. Like that's what I need to maintain. But then I don't need to go crazier than that. So I could legitimately do 3 hours a week at being 23 years old and look great. Yeah. Because I spent the last 7 years training. Yep. You know, so like I can totally do that. If I do 5, 6, 7 days a week, like I could get super dialed in. Yeah. But I'm really trying to find this kind of like medium where like, so my diet's really good. My diet's 3 meals a day. You know, 2 of the meals are prepped. The other one's completely predictable. And the training is kind of where I'm at. Like I'll do a program, then I'll kind of pop off and go kind of freestyle and do what I want. Then I'll do a little program, then I'll go. And when I do the programs, I go great. Like I get more ripped, like I gain muscle and stuff. But I don't know. I feel like I'm always trying to find a balance because I don't really want to train 7 days a week. Yeah. But I also really don't want to train 3. So I want to just find this middle ground. I work on the weekends. It's just the life is really taking over, man. Before, when I could, like when my schedule is so consistent and the same, it was so much easier. So like when I know you're like, you know, you have, it's not an option. There's no options for you.
Yeah, it's pretty much, it has to happen. Yeah, training, so I'm like, when I enter a prep, like, it depends what we refer to as training, because I'm doing something physically 7 days a week. So 6 days are muscle training, and then cardio right now I try to do 20 minutes every day, so that's 7 days a week. So training, I try to set up my split, so like what muscles I'm training for each day to be around my weak points as a bodybuilder. So whatever I think I need to bring up, those are going to be either prioritized twice a week, they're going to get a heavier volume, more sets, or they're going to be prioritized with my diet on my higher carb days. So for example, one of the things I'm trying to bring up is my chest and my hamstring. So chest and hamstring, like I'll do chest as its own day, hamstrings as its own day, and they're going to get, 4 or 5 exercises, more sets than I would do for the other muscles, and they're going to get the higher calories to try to make those grow. But mostly I try to stick to a different muscle group every day. I know people do the bro split, they do push-pull legs. For me, it's like back day, chest day, quads, so I split up quads and hamstrings.
2 different days?
Yeah, which...
So you almost treat legs like arms, kind of, where it's like, I'll do a bicep, then I'll do a chest the next day.
Yeah, and I think that's like, it's just, if you're starting off in the gym, that's something that's hard to do, is split up your leg days. It's more, I guess, a little bit more complicated. I like to do it so I can have a hams and glute day, and then quads and inner thighs, because I'm trying to, like, it's just for the overall structure of my legs when I'm on stage. And quads was something that I was lagging in for a while, so I really wanted to push on my quad days and not have to worry about hamstrings. So when you separate them out like that, you get way more efficiency for that muscle group within the gym. You consult, because like a lot of times when we do a full leg day, we're doing like maybe 3 quad exercises, 2 hamstring exercises, then I gotta do calves, then I gotta do inner thighs, and then I gotta do outer thighs. Where if you want to really overall develop the legs, every single muscle that's in them, it's a lot more efficient to make them their own days where you can just focus. Because a lot of times by the back end of our workout, we're neglecting the stuff that comes later. The prioritization is always going to become within the first couple exercises we do. So we want the most usage of our calories for that day to be within those first exercises. So if we're doing legs and we're doing 3 quads and then 2 hamstrings, by the time we get to hamstrings, we've put more focus of our energy into the quads, and now we're going to have less energy and less fuel for hamstrings. So if we want to make them a priority for both, what we can do is then make, whatever fuel for those days, if we want high, medium, or low carbs, we do that for those days, and then we split them up. So quads, I'm only going to do, quad-based movements and inner thigh-based movements, and then hamstrings, 4 exercises, hamstring-based movements, maybe some glutes too.
So it is finite, really, though, the energy. Like that, the studies that I saw were even past an hour and change. Yeah, it's very diminishing returns.
Yeah, it's like most of my the time I'm lifting is probably about an hour. I think you should be, It depends what you're going for, but if you want to be efficient in the gym is with your time. Like, I think if you're taking like over 3 hours to finish your workout, you're probably not spending that time 3 hours actually working out. You're spending a lot of time just like resting, talking, because if you're actually working out for an hour straight, you're going to be exhausted. You should be exhausted.
The people who do this are like power lifters who take a 5 minute
Yeah, it depends.
rest, right?
At the end of the day, it depends what your goal is.
Exactly.
Yeah,
If you're a strongman, a 4 hour workout's almost.
But
normal.
like for your regular gym goer, a lot of times, like,
well, what is, dude? The gym is half the gym is bullshit.
yeah, I mean, like
100%.
and we've become like 225. Like, I feel like here's like 225 on bench has become, with how much fitness TikTok is and like how much more people are into the whole gym and fitness thing, it's like 225 is like not like that's above average for the majority of people. But now it seems like, oh, like 2 plates on bench, like that's so easy, but it's not. Like, compared to the average person, like we've kind of like diminished our sensitivity to like what's impressive because of how much we see in fitness and health.
Yeah, dude, I can't even remember what I maxed on bench because I don't bench anymore. I close grip bench.
I don't bench either.
I like close grip's okay. I really like close grip for tris, dude. I feel like it really helped my triceps out. But I still, I'll follow like Mark Bell.
Okay.
And I'll just follow like what he does. Like I really have changed the form. I unrack differently now. Yeah. Like but I have bad shoulders, so I know that. I know in a split second what's good for me and what's not.
Yeah.
You know, that's the one thing about having an injury where it's like, it's not a like terrible. It's one of those dull injuries, you know, that's just like
nagging. Yeah.
It's and the thing is, I have no pain.
Mm-hmm.
I stretch and I have no back pain because of it.
Yeah.
I used to have back pain. So there's ways to get around it. But yeah, man, I think I don't even remember what I maxed on bench, dude. I remember like what I maxed on deadlift, but that whole, it's amazing. People are it's probably not good that they're getting advice from like a 49-second video.
Yeah,
you know?
No, 100%. And like for training, like we become too, I think people become too like outside motivated. Need to be more internally motivated. Like, what is your goal right now, and what do you want to get to, and then make a game plan of each step rather than being like, I want to be like that guy who I see on my phone. Like, that's just one of the worst ways you can prioritize your success.
I agree.
You know, like you should be able, and like people say it for sports, like envision yourself throwing the touchdown, envision yourself hitting the home run. Like, it's the same thing when it comes to like, in terms of your body and your physique. Like, envision the physique you want and then figure out a game plan on how do I get there and start doing those steps rather than being like, oh, I want to be like, how do I get to that guy's point? Because if you start comparing yourself to other people, you're probably never gonna reach that point of how high they are. And a lot of times it's not actually truthful of how successful or strong or whatever they really are.
I love the guy who maybe you might be able to find him, Tread. I highly doubt it, but it's a guy who he holds up a pizza box and he sells, I don't know, pizza training. I don't even know a good way to explain it. It's an ad on Instagram. Like, haven't seen it in a long time. But he holds up the pizza box and he goes, I look like this and you can too, and you can eat this. Pizza, yeah. And it's like, dude, like, what if they're lactose intolerant, first of all?
Yeah.
What if they're 580 pounds? The diet doesn't work for it's like, I know you're trying to sell something and you're trying to sell it to a target person.
Yeah.
But it's just the cookie cutter, the way that they have to get people in.
Well, you know, Planet Fitness does their free pizza. I think it's like one day a week they do like free pizza day.
They say this. I've been to Planet Fitness.
You've never seen it, right?
No, I've probably been to Planet Fitness about maybe 30 times.
Because I've never been, but I feel like I've never actually seen people eating the pizza like they claim at Planet Fitness.
I've never seen bagels or pizza there.
It's just a saying.
Yeah, I think it's... So, eat pizza. I get some business advice from this guy named Alex Hormozy, and he owns a portfolio of companies. They do like $100 million a year, and his start was look up Alex Hormozy too when you get a chance just to see this guy. He's like a most jacked. It's not that important, but if you have a minute, he's one of the most jacked business guys you ever see. Like, he's legitimate. Like I don't want to say pro level, but He could compete. 100%.
Oh yeah, you could compete looking
He
like
could-
that.
he could compete. He could
100%.
Dude, so imagine
He's on some shit.
$100 million a year too.
Yeah,
Right?
that's the
I
goal,
only
right?
like to take advice from guys who are jacked and also
have the success of back
multi-millionaires. Yeah.
Yep.
But his thing,
Wow.
he sold. Yeah, his come up
she's
was
on
legit.
some sauce, dude.
Dude, oh.
I mean, it's impressive physique. I'm just
I was gonna say, you think he's natty?
no.
No,
I don't think so.
Yeah, he.
That's huge. How old is he?
Maybe 29, 31,
Oh, okay.
32.
And he also
32.
looks a lot older
He's,
than that.
he's
too.
32.
Wow.
Yeah. And
I thought you were gonna say 40s.
so he ran a company called Gym Launch.
Okay.
What he would do is, he basically just like shadowed a guy, quit his job in finance, shadowed a guy, went out, drove out to California with the rest of his money, full come up story,
Yeah.
slept in this guy's floor, said, I want to work for your gym and learn how to launch this gym. Then he launches his own gyms, can't figure out how to make money, starts to figure it out, starts to dial in the system, 5, 6, 10 gyms now he's bought and sold, so now he's like making some real money, starts to launch gyms for people, fly out to the gym.
Yeah.
He goes, I'm going to run all your ads. I'm going to do that. You give me 30 grand and I'm going to make you 180, right? That's it.
Yep.
Like, that's what he does. So I'm going to sell you X amount of memberships. He would sell so many that the gym would have to close because it couldn't even handle the amount of
Wow.
like they didn't have the business acumen to run a business at that level.
Okay.
Like, that's how successful some of the gyms were. But his system was designed to close people on these fitness programs.
Yep.
And he would literally like take somebody who's like gas station attendant or whatever, and he'd like train them up to sell these fitness plans and stuff and have them closing. And they were all like a lot through social media, but it was like a local gym. So he would come into this local gym, be like, give me 50 grand and I'll make you 180 or whatever, make you 200,000. And it's just amazing that the difference between the success of these gyms was just being able to sell people on the plan. And he would make it so if you don't make the goal weight, we give you your money back. Then they would make the goal weight. They would come in and weigh in. They would be so hype. And then he'd be like, all right, let's do the same thing or whatever. Like, you come at the X amount of times and then you'll get your money back, and they wouldn't come 180 times or whatever. You know, so he had all these guarantees to get their money, dude. And it wasn't like these people lost the weight, but like all of the objections, all of the answers he had to objections, like, it was this whole business science.
That's crazy.
Of selling fitness plans. It's
and
crazy.
a lot of people, I know you said there were so many people like that ended up being like members at the one gym, they couldn't even handle it.
Yeah.
I think I'm always curious the data of how many people are signed up for a Planet Fitness membership and don't actually end up going, and they get passive money through that way.
So he talked about Planet Fitness's model. He said their model is reliant on only 10% of people showing up. He said that if for any reason, like 20, 30, 40 or more percent of people showed up, Planet Fitness would have to shut down.
Wow.
Because their facility,
it's not big enough, right?
they've sold probably 100 times the memberships in that area that they could even fit in the facility. So, or I guess 90 times, right? Because 10% of the people. So their business model is sell the $10 a month. The thing about $10 a month is that you don't care if you don't use $10 a month.
It's a small amount. It's like your typical like subscription payment for like Netflix or something like that. Like, you're gonna be, it's just $10. Like, not gonna think about it. Compared to like, if you're paying $50 a month for a gym,
Fitness, something like that.
You're like, okay, this is actually like a monthly payment I gotta like set aside for and think about. And like, like say you're trying to cut costs back, the $50 gym membership is gonna be way more appealing to cut back than the $10 one.
Yes.
And it all depends on how much you use it, like you said. Like, it's gonna be, and they're like, it's $10 for this one gym membership. I can go whenever I want. Like, that's an easy moneymaker to get someone just to spend a little bit of cash.
Exactly. And they're also, so they sell on that, on the
it makes sense.
percentage, and then they also sell on the fact that these people have fake motivation. Like, they just have their hype. They don't need to sell it. You're already hyped up about thinking you might go to the gym.
Exactly.
That's all you need.
And I'm sure their equipment doesn't break that often either, because it's advertised to not slam your weights, like, be very like gentle, cautious, whatever. So you probably get a lot less broken equipment too, and that's
a
less
good point.
less you have to spend on it.
Yeah.
So maybe they're not actually judgment free. They're just let's make as much money as possible.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
That's probably what it
Judgment
is.
free is a fucking gimmick.
Yeah,
dude.
it's how they get you because you're like, oh, I won't be judged here.
No,
Yeah,
they're
even
like-
though you are judged if you're too big.
Yeah, they're like the only person they judge is if you're actually jacked.
Yeah, and that's like usually I don't know if you notice this, but usually like the largest people sometimes are like the nicest person in the gym. Like I don't
Yeah.
like sometimes they're scary, but like then they're like, oh no, you can use that. Like
I
they're
always
so
talk
friendly.
to these guys too. Like
Yeah.
when I worked out at Stockton is the worst university in terms of fitness areas.
Equipment.
It is worse than my high school of like 800
Oh
people.
God,
It's the same level.
that's crazy.
I think the high school that I went to now, since they've upgraded, is probably even better.
The weightlifting room in the high school is fucking awesome.
Dude, it's
I know.
way better
I
than
went to
that college.
Voorhees. I think they upgraded it. It was actually I actually loved that. Like for starting off, that was a great weight room. But I went to Delaware, and they actually had
College.
their facility was
UDel?
great. Yeah. But the facility was awesome, but it's such a big school. It was always so packed in there. That's what sucked. It was just like so busy all the
So
time.
I'll paint you the picture, right?
Yeah.
So Stockton gym, okay? They have a fitness complex, like they have a gym complex. It's a
Okay.
basketball gym with with like stands and everything. That's the building.
Okay.
That's like the building you go in, right?
Is that it?
No,
That's only one part of it, but
no, that's the high school.
yeah, that's the high school.
Oh,
That's the high school we
that's
went
Del
to.
Val. Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
There's more racks there than we're at Stockton.
Oh my god.
Uh-huh. So and by the way, Stockton, you know this. You guys are crazy. People have been trying to do this for literally 20, 30 years. Get your shit together,
more
man.
Equipment. It's not in the budget, man.
Yeah, so it's crazy. It's crazy to me. But hey, the president gets a car, right? Yeah.
Of course.
So
That's
Cadillac,
that's
brand
budget
new,
worthy.
brand new Cadillac, not a year old. So you go into this big building, and then you go up three flights of stairs, and you go to the top, and you walk in to a room, and the windows are lined with think of the size of the room is about a quarter of Planet Fitness.
Oh god.
And the windows are lined with treadmills and bikes. And then in the middle, there's one machine for cable. Cable machine. In that cable machine, there's like 3 different cables, right?
Yeah.
Or
It's a cable tree. Yeah.
Cable tree. There's like 4 different cables. That's it.
Yeah.
4. That's your whole cable system. And then the other ones are just miscellaneous equipment.
It sounds like you ever go to a hotel gym? It sounds a lot like a hotel gym.
Dude, it's a hotel gym, and I'm not even done.
Yeah.
So, but guess what, dude? You want to squat today?
Yeah.
Not here.
No.
Walk down the 3 flights of stairs, across the courtyard, past 2 of the
Oh my
buildings,
God.
into another basketball gymnasium, go down the stairs into the basement. Now you walk into a room that was half the size of that original room you were
Yeah.
in the dungeon, that has about maybe 4 squat racks and another even smaller, only 2 tri-step extensions
my
there,
God.
and a line of dumbbells, and that's it. So you have to stop your workout,
Walk a
walk
quarter mile.
all the way down, walk a quarter mile into a dungeon just to squat if you want to do it in the same
Ridiculous.
workout.
That's
And that
insane.
is a university?
Yeah, it's a pretty low standard.
Yeah. And I talked to a guy,
How much money they get?
this guy named Jim, and he's like, hey, man, we've tried for
Yeah.
every year of all the years.
Wow.
You know? So it's like, it's what do you care about? You know?
And to me it sounds like I feel like that's something you get advertised to bring in as like a student. Like you would
is this
advertise
stock?
your gym like, wow.
Yo, if you
yeah.
can blow that one picture up that you have a little bit more. I don't
It's
know if
like
you
an
can zoom in on
oversized
Chrome.
hotel
Dude,
gym.
it is 100% a oversized hotel gym.
Yeah, that's so
There's
bad.
8,500 kids who go. Now, listen, there's a lot of commuters. I'm not saying they have to have a fucking state-of-the-art equipment.
But something that's gym worthy.
There's thousands of kids who live there or within 5 minutes
Yeah.
who pay $8,500 a semester.
Yeah.
And you're telling me you can't even have a gym that's better than 1/4 of Planet Fitness?
So now they're gonna spend extra money on
Yeah, that's it. That's your gym.
Yeah,
for a university. Call yourself a university. It's a fucking community college.
I wouldn't even put this on our website if it was this embarrassing. That's crazy.
Dude, look, it's
like hide it.
I don't even. It's they couldn't even have
taken
an iPhone picture that blasts it and makes it look big.
Like at least make it as big as possible.
Exactly.
And what you're not realizing is that after the last treadmill there, like it's a mirror, like, or am I tripping here?
No, I think you're right. It just stops.
Like here, is that a mirror that I'm seeing?
No. It goes to the end. It goes.
It does go to the end. Okay.
Yeah,
it looks like a mirror.
see what
you see what I'm saying? Like there's like the weird.
And this is on the 3rd floor of a massive building.
Yeah, that's
that they
terrible.
could have built a legitimate gym inside.
Yeah, for the whole thing. Yep.
Yeah,
that's crazy,
dude. It blew my mind that I'm a person, right? I can go to a Planet Fitness. There's a bunch of gyms in the area. I couldn't afford most of them, but I totally could have went to Planet. Yeah. I'm playing sports at this college.
That's what I was
I'm
thinking.
playing, and their lacrosse team's really good. They're like, I'm playing lacrosse, and I need to lift weights, and I'm literally, there's like 18 people. Like, the gym wasn't that packed all the time. It's just, dude, it blew my mind. I just felt bad for the sports, honestly, because that's something where you really need to train.
Yeah, exactly. And like Delaware, and maybe because they're like they get a lot of money. Their tuition's like out of state 35K. But they get a lot of money because they're one, a state college, and two, they're also a very huge school, so they get a lot of funding from their alumni. And they had their gym was 3 floors, like full complex. Like it was a big gym. It was just always packed. And then outside of their whole, health community center with their gyms, you then go to the football stadium, and then there's a whole separate gym for all of the sports and athletes there too, with nicer racks, nicer dumbbells. So like, I think it's just priorities. Maybe I don't know where you make those budgeting decisions on what gets the money and what doesn't.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
They have, they'll install new doors.
Yeah.
Instead, like things that really matter. Yeah, the athletes should never work out where regular people work out.
Yeah, no, it's like you're probably also gonna have like your trainers there, so it's gonna be separate. Yep. And like our gym was just it was already so packed. There was no way athletes were gonna. You would see some football players in their off season, but if they were on season, they weren't. They were going to the stadium gym. Like it's just better workouts, less people.
Yeah. Where you environment is. Like I was talking to Benny yesterday. He's a rapper. Like he writes in his car. He's like, I can't work out at home. I can't write at home. Like I have to be outside of my home. And I've worked out in my basement forever. Yeah. But I think that's something too.
Depends on the person.
Because
I like exploring new bodybuilding gyms. Like this shirt that I'm wearing right now, this jersey. It's from
sponsor.
Yeah. I'm not sponsored, but they're an awesome.
But if you'd like to,
we're
open.
They're an awesome gym, Iron Revolution in Howell, and they're so like what I'll do is I go down the beach, have a little beach trip, and then they don't close till 8 on the weekend. So on the way back, I'll stop there because it's a pretty hardcore bodybuilding.
You
gym.
Work out after you go to the beach?
Yeah, because I'm crazy like that.
Dude,
enough stimulants and caffeine, dude. You can get yourself going.
Well, that I can.
And you need to mentally. Like for me, it's like what I look forward to in my day is like my workout. So like that's why I'll make sure I'll get to it. Yeah, there's something wrong up here, but yeah, that's what.
I don't know how Tret did like 6 o'clock in the morning workouts.
I can't do morning workouts.
No, I can't.
Cardio, I'll do fasted cardio in the morning.
I can't work out at night.
Really?
No.
See, I love nights.
Me too.
I feel like my day's over. I don't have to think.
Me too.
See, like I feel like the workout gets my day started.
I like
it wakes me up. I'm like, okay, now I'm ready to do whatever. The hard stuff's already done.
That's why I like fasted cardio in the morning. If you can get yourself up and do it. I'll do like I'll have coffee, cardio, shower, another coffee, and you're like wired for the day. But I can't do weights in the morning because like, at least for bodybuilding, like weights and training, my strength is a priority. So like, I want to have some food in me, like a decent amount of meals in me before I go and train. So that's why I prefer training afternoon and nights. But morning cardio honestly does wake me up like real well.
Do you want to know? I learned a little bit about this.
Okay.
So. When maybe it is the adenosine again.
Yeah, maybe that's what the factor is.
But when if you wake up from the alarm and you know that you need more sleep, whatever that is has not diminished
Yeah.
enough,
Okay.
right?
Gotcha.
So but there's ways to diminish it. One of them is to go look at the sunlight.
Yeah.
The other one is to do exercise, is what he was
Okay.
saying. And now this is
Gotcha.
my basic version of this. Very basic, but was the thing. So if you even do a little bit, like what I'll do is jump rope for 5 minutes, or I'll do like towel pull-ups,
Yeah.
because I'll be able to sweat faster.
You could do push-ups.
Push-ups, exactly.
whatever.
So he said that will get that out of your system, and you won't feel that like, that just like overcoming tired feeling.
Yeah, where you're just like slouched and like
grogginess.
kind of feeling like if you close your eyes, you could probably sleep.
That's
yeah.
why that cardio wakes you up. Now,
Yeah.
I'm the same way. If I do the weights, I'll be tired for the rest of the day.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll be shot for the rest of the day, like almost mentally beat too.
No, I noticed. I think it is kind of because you're using people. I think forget when you're using weights and if you're doing cardio, but weights may be a little bit more on your overall CNS because unless you're doing a huge run, you're not really taxing your central nervous system as much as weightlifting because like the whole weightlifting, I mean, still like when you're running, it's a brain signal to your legs, whereas it's when like lifting, it's brain signals to your muscle to try to force these repetitions out. It depends on how hard you're going, but yeah, I could totally see why the exhaustion would come more from the workout and in the afternoon with the adenosine building up than compared to running.
Honestly,
in the
I
morning.
like I don't mind training at 2 or 3 o'clock when I can push right through that
barrier point, yeah.
that afternoon barrier.
Food is like the biggest thing for me. Like, it's like I notice if 1 meal versus 3 meals, I notice day and night difference how I will be strength wise in the gym. So that's why I try to train at the same time and eat my meals at the same time every day, just to be in like that regimen of like consistency to track progress.
For me, it's hydration.
Yeah, hydration's big too.
Dehydration is if my piss is fucking yellow, I'm kind of beat.
Yeah, I mean, and that's most mornings. That's how it's gonna. But like, I try to be. I try to drink like 1.5 gallons, 2 gallons of water a day. It's typically what
That's
I try
a lot.
to get to. It is a lot.
Over
yeah.
a gallon is a lot.
Yeah.
I can do a gallon, but it's like I can drink. This is probably 1/4 gallon, maybe, or half gallon, something like that. I don't know,
It's important for flush. Like,
I could drink a few of those a day.
yeah, that is a lot of water.
I can go through I go through about 5 gallons a week. So,
Okay, yeah, so
around
a gallon a day,
3/4
yeah, a little
gallon
below.
a day, somewhere around there. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't drink that on the weekends. So yeah, that would
Okay.
make sense. Yeah, but I don't know if you noticed this, but when I had COVID, after COVID, my pee was not clear.
Really?
It was literally like I was so hydrated, like I was drinking so much water,
Yeah.
and it was like it must have been just flushing more and more toxins out of there, or something like that.
It could be messing with something with your because a lot of times, like we may be hydrated because of the amount of like we may think we're hydrated because of the amount of water in, but we're not getting enough sodium or
I was
potassium
gonna
in.
say salt, right?
The electrolytes,
Yeah.
so it's just flushing the water without holding it into your body. And that's like one of the things when you're doing a contest prep, when you're peaking, you'll manipulate water and sodium. Well, water, sodium, potassium, electrolytes. Some people even go and take diuretics to try to lose as much water as possible,
which is dangerous.
it is very dangerous. It's one of the bigger killers of people within bodybuilding.
We touched on that the first time, dude. That's it's super sad, man.
Yeah, it really is. And that's why people, when you're doing, it's good to understand the science of that stuff. But yeah, like water loading and water depleting is a big part of the peak week that a lot of people do. Some people believe in just keeping things the same. Some people will do an aggressive peak week, but yeah, it's water, sodium, salt. Those things are so important.
Yeah, for me, if I am hydrated but I still don't feel right, I will eat something really salty and be right back.
Yeah,
to normal.
yeah, exactly. And that's why every hydrate, like now I feel like there's more hydration products than there have been in the past. Like I've seen Gatorade making their version of Pedialyte and stuff like that. And why they're so hydrating is because they have so many ions in them. Like when you drink it, it almost tastes like salt water because there's so much salt and potassium in it to rehydrate you. Yeah.
Yes, I have a supplement. It's called Trace Minerals Power Pack.
Okay, it probably has those electrolytes and ions in it.
It's electrolytes and vitamins.
Yeah.
It's mostly C, but
yeah. Well, and why potassium and sodium are so important is because for cells, you have sodium and potassium inside the cell, and then I should know this better because I've studied this for a while, but sodium, potassium inside the cell or outside of the cell, and then ions. There's this balance of sodium, potassium in your cells, and you want to pull. Bodybuilders, what they're trying to do is pull that water from outside of the cell into the cell, so from the skin into the muscle, and that's why they're kind of doing those manipulation. So you want enough sodium and water to have your muscle full, but not too much to where you're overspilling into your skin and hiding your striations. So that's kind of where that manipulation comes in. But sodium and potassium are also how your cells fire, so they're essential to proper cell firing, and that's what happens when people take the diuretics. They flush all these very essential electrolytes out of their body, and then they can't, they have issues with their heart, issues with their lungs, because they don't have the ions to properly function and have cell firing.
Yeah, so that balance is delicate.
Yeah, it is. And then that's what those diuretics do, is either they mess with sodium, they mess with potassium, or they mess with both.
What about creatine?
Creatine, I think it's over dramatized. I think it's just like,
I never saw a dramatic benefit. Now, did I load it right? Who fucking knows? It was a long time ago.
And I don't think the loading is really that important. I try to think of creatine like as any other supplement within, like, what am I supplementing for my body that I'm not getting from food? Because creatine's found in your red meats typically, and that's why if you eat red meat like every day, you probably don't need to take a creatine supplement, because you're getting the 5 grams you would normally take. So I don't think there's a it's like, I try to think of it as any other supplement. Like, if it's going to help you be have more muscle, same thing as like any other vitamin, like vitamin C, help your immune system. Like, rather than getting it from oranges, you're going to get it from the supplement. Like, it's the same thing with creatine. Like, you're just getting it, substituted. It's not this like dramatic drug that's having an effect on the cells in your body. No, it's present in your body already.
Yeah, I think it has a mental benefits too, I've heard.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I've heard something about that.
Okay.
Maybe we could check that out, Trev. Maybe you do a little deep dive
mental
on creatine.
benefits of creatine.
Yeah. Shit, I don't know much about it, but people who like blast creatine, they're like super hyper creatine people, and I don't know. I'm not a supplement guy. I'm just a vitamin guy. Like, I am a vitamins, amino acids, zinc. Like,
yeah.
That's my shit. That's the only thing. Like, I need, like, as just a regular functioning person. Not competing.
Do you get blood work done? I don't know if we talked about that last time.
I never have, dude.
I think blood work is if you're entering out of high schoolers, are mostly healthy, but when you're like a young adult and you're becoming more of an adult, it's good to get regular blood work, just to make sure, one, you have no conditions that are coming up that you've never known about because you've never gotten blood work done before, and then to continually monitor throughout your life, because like, if you have your baseline in your young 20s, then you can compare all your levels that you have, at different points in your life. And like, one of the things that most people have a problem with nowadays is their cholesterol and blood sugar. So like, if you get your blood work done early, you can kind of always compare to what your baseline is, because a lot of times things in our blood work compared to someone else's, like, we may have a different baseline based on our genetics. Some people are more prone to higher cholesterol, but if you can maintain that higher cholesterol without being super high, you're still healthy. It's like you want to, and this comes back to the point of where you're comparing to yourself, not other people, especially with these biomarkers, because a lot of them are based on where you started and like where you're ending up in terms of like your blood work. And it's good just to see how healthy you are.
How often do you do it?
Typically four times a year.
Does your insurance cover all those?
So I pay, I think they do. So
it's my a copay or something like that.
Yeah, so I think I get my doctor gives me the referral. Mm-hmm. So I think I only end up paying like $15 per blood work.
Oh, I get it. So he'll like whatever, push it along.
Yeah, so it's like, and it's all routine blood work, physical, just to monitor like all my lipid. I do think lipid panel, kidneys, liver, diabetes, thyroid, testosterone. So I get all those checked, and I only pay like, since I got the referral through them, and I'm going through whatever, I just go to one of the Quest or whatever. It's like $15 that I pay to Quest, and insurance covers the rest. So it's really not that bad.
I'm gonna do a physical and just do the blood work.
That's what I just go to your doctor and be like, hey, I want to get a physical with blood work done just to see my health, and I don't know why they wouldn't.
Oh no,
they'll never have a problem.
Yeah, and there's no, and by the way, it said that creatine improves brain function.
It does. Okay.
I didn't see anything else on there. Like, I don't know if there's probably some studies or something. I don't know what improved brain function
and
means.
Like, what is it doing biochemically in the brain to improve that? That's what I wonder. Like, I
honestly, this is 100% anecdotal, but from amino acids, I feel
notice it.
Yeah, I feel like a slight improvement in brain function.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, definitely vitamins.
Yeah, I think
100%.
vitamins make a big deal.
Dude, because I do a multivitamin with nothing like in it except vitamins. Like I buy like a little bit more expensive vitamins.
Yeah.
From Basil Bandwagon, and then I have zinc, and then that's after my morning, and then I take one of those high electrolytes and vitamin packs in the afternoon for instead of a coffee or something like that.
Yeah, and if you have too much, you're just gonna flush. It's just gonna get flushed out.
100%. Yeah, no. Right now, I feel like with this mix, I got it. It might be too much of a little bit too much C or something, but
yeah.
I don't need to take D separately because I go outside every day and I walk. Like I take my shirt off, I walk down the road.
Yeah.
If you do that for 10 minutes, if you take your shirt off and you're outside for 10 minutes, you have
D, right,
as much D as if you just took a vitamin.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, dude. Yeah, that's another one. The amount, it's like 10,000 IUs or in 10 minutes or something of some.
Damn.
Yeah, you have. It's from the source, dude. It's,
yeah, you're getting it from how you're supposed to.
Yes.
Not like
yeah.
supplemented.
Oh, we wouldn't if. I mean, there's a lot of. It's actually very interesting. I read a book called *Sapiens* by Yuval Harari.
I've read that. *Sapiens*
Dude.
is awesome. It's one of my favorite books.
Yeah, and how crazy is it though? How when we industrialized even slightly, our diets just became dog shit. What's
10,000 to 20,000 IUs from 30 minutes of summer sunlight, midday sunlight.
Yep.
That's crazy.
International unit, by the way.
Yeah.
Yep. So, and 10,000 to 20,000 IUs is like if you just popped a.
It's like
vitamin
the
D.
equivalent. So if you just walk outside for 30 minutes, like you don't even need to take the supplement. It's probably more bioavailable. Like it's probably like a pill isn't going to be as bioavailable as the natural way.
It'll never be processed the same.
Yeah,
as your skin is an organ.
Yeah, it's
so it takes the.
There's so many creams and gels that you can rub on your skin to, like I know there's like the nicotine ones that it'll actually go in your bloodstream through the skin. Yeah. Like our skin does absorb a lot.
We gotta try a nicotine cream or something, buddy.
I'm in.
Why are you addicted to Juul?
He kicked the Juul.
You kicked it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't vaped. So I got COVID in October, I think it was.
Okay.
And I haven't vaped since. But
probably feels way better on your lungs, like breathing. I know appetite probably goes up.
You know, honestly, I really haven't noticed much of a difference. Yeah, I mean, I know it's a bad answer to give.
Yeah.
Like,
people don't.
You want to be like, oh, yeah, no, I feel so much better, and like, I really haven't noticed a difference. The bad part is that I'm still addicted to nicotine.
Yeah.
So
if you're getting the nicotine, or do you get nicotine
well,
from
it's
other
really
sources?
good.
Yeah, I use nicotine pouches.
That's probably why. Yeah. It's like,
nicotine's really good. That's the problem.
Yeah. I see. That's. I'm very glad. I've been like, I stay away from nicotine products because I know they're so addictive, and two, like in terms of muscle and like appetite. I don't want nicotine messing with that just to optimize everything.
Yeah, if I do any nicotine though, I wouldn't do it till nighttime.
Yeah,
like if I smoke a cigar or something, or smoke like
I love smoking.
I think spliff or something like that.
Yeah,
cigars.
Yeah,
everything is okay in moderation. I think that's like a point I go by.
Moderation's boring as fuck.
Yeah, it depends on what you enjoy. Yeah,
but 100%. But with the Sapiens, how our diets became absolute shit when we had industrialization, because when they grew corn, all they ate was fucking corn.
Yep. And like I think in that book he says that the projected lifespan was the longest humans ever were when they had the hunter-gatherer balanced diet. So like you're eating meat, vegetables, fruit, like you're getting a very wide selection of nutrients, so you're getting everything you need while also exercising to go get the food that you need. And that's why they were such healthy, long living people. And then and this is kind of relates to today, where a lot of people are eating the same processed junk every single day, and then we wonder why we're having so many cancers and health issues. It's like maybe there's something there where if we had that more balanced diet, we would be less susceptible to disease and not have
and
other
these
issues.
people were busting their ass.
Yeah, to hunt like a bison, or like to hunt like whatever. Like it was a large group effort, and it was like a whole hunt. And nowadays we just get in our car, drive to the grocery store, pick out what we want, throw it in the cart, go home, throw it on didn't have to make a fire, like
microwave.
Yeah,
nuke it.
Cup of noodles or whatever. Like it's so much easier to get food now.
Invest in a stock, cup of noodles. Recession's about to hit.
Yeah, people are gonna be
Invest
invest
in
now.
ramen.
Sell your Apple and your Starbucks
Yeah, dude,
stocks.
I'm getting out of Amazon, guys. I'm going straight to ramen. Best
wave.
investment. I believe in it.
But yeah, that's like our genetics, and like that book is so good at putting it into perspective and relating it to the current day. Is where like that one, well, if you're eating the same thing and not having a variety of nutrients in your diet, you're gonna have way shorter of a lifespan than like a full, variety diet of many different foods.
People don't know. I've said this many times, but people don't know what it feels like to feel good.
Yeah, exactly. Like people wonder why they we have a lot of mental health issues are like one of the most common nowadays.
Yep.
And I do think that some of that is like our diet and exercise related. A lot of people feel good when they exercise, and a lot of people feel better when they eat healthy.
Yeah.
Or eat good quality food rather than, the processed junk that's everywhere in the grocery store. And what costs more money is the well-balanced, well-digesting foods like chicken, like your meats, your produce, like those are always more expensive at the store than like your Pop-Tarts and like your candy bars and your cookies. Like that's what makes it really hard to make those decisions, especially with times, in an economy that's getting tougher and tougher. It's like, well, I want to save some money, so let me go with the cheaper option. It makes it even harder for people to eat healthy.
Dude, it's brutal, man. And I hate to use this example, but it is true. Look up. And I'm not trying to glorify any of these school shooters, but none of them look healthy to me.
Yeah, no, I don't. Yeah,
like none of them are like healthy looking, clean cut, jacked and tan.
Never.
They're none of them.
Yeah,
dude.
no.
And that's just one a little bit drastic example, but it is true. I
mean,
no, it's your mental health is like 100. It's inputs and outputs, dude.
Yeah, it's your a lot. I think a lot of it is your environment, and like some people have the triggers in themselves that are going to be more susceptible when the environment gets toxic versus where other people may not be as susceptible to those triggers. But when the environment is so, unless you're trained to be ready for that specific dangerous, bad, influential environment, you're going to be susceptible to going down that road when you're exposed to that shit.
Yeah, you're gonna feed into it.
Yeah, exactly.
You're gonna let it get you.
Yeah, I think if the country really cared about people's mental health, they would spend more money on making like the healthy foods and exercise and like those things more affordable than
COVID was the perfect example of the government not caring about health.
Yeah, it's like we're gonna use this. And whatever you want to think the government's controlling you on purpose or whatever or not.
Weather. They control the weather.
Yeah, birds aren't real. But yeah, it's like
now you're getting it.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, that's Tret's idea, all right?
The birds aren't real.
He's in the movement.
I came up with that idea.
Yeah.
Dude, that I love when they're interviewing that guy and they're like they're interviewing him like he's serious. It's crazy. I don't know.
He is serious.
He is serious. Yeah. I thought we were.
What do you
I didn't know it was a
conspiracy
joke.
theories or
I didn't know it
something?
was a joke.
Serious.
Really?
Stupid.
But yeah, it's like if the government truly cared about health, they would. We're gonna close the gyms.
They would care about things that make you healthy.
Yeah, exactly. No vitamin D. Like they're not focusing on sunlight.
Attila's gym was funny.
Yeah, dude, they really went against the whole government policy.
I don't. And now, sure, if you're like, listen, Bradley Martin, dude.
He was another one. Yeah.
Did you hear him talk? Yeah, he was like, I literally had to break the chain link. Yeah. I had to break the lock to turn my power back on. And he was like, I was running $500,000 a day off in gas on generators.
Yep. It's and like you're also causing those business owners to lose money during that process. But obviously, the care is your health, then you should leave the health centers where people can improve their health open. Like that just makes more sense to me. But
yeah, well,
I don't make the rules.
And I'll say, when you shut everything down, it's like, well, what are you going to leave open and not leave open?
Yeah.
But being able to go in a convenience store that's like the ceilings are as high as this room, and like this is like you can go into a place where COVID will definitely spread really easily, but you can't go into a place where it won't.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like that's what didn't make sense. I understood shutting things down.
Yeah,
I just didn't understand the methodology between shutting down this versus shutting down
that.
that.
It was hard to make justify those decisions.
They
that
didn't
were
allow
making
personal responsibility to
be a thing.
to
We're
take hold,
gonna tell you. We're the ones who know the information, and we're gonna make the decision for you on what's right to do and what's wrong to do. And it should be. I'm always a believer in like we as people should be able to do whatever we want. And if it hurts, as long as it doesn't hurt other people, it shouldn't matter. And like that's the whole argument with COVID. It's like, oh well, you're hurting other people. Well, there's a lot of things like where we like this with every other disease, like, and there's a lot of things that end up, they may put other people at risk driving. We do that every single day, but like, you don't see requirements to take the train or requirements to like, carpool, even though like driving is like we have so many people on the road. It's one of the biggest killers. It's like you rely on the government to pick and choose what's healthy, what's
bad
good
health
for
is
you.
the biggest killer in the entire world.
So we spend billions of dollars as Congress to send money to other countries, but we can't spend that billion on like helping fund healthy more healthy food projects and exercise and stuff for American citizens.
Nas said it. I don't remember the whole lyric, but he was like, how are we gonna go leave home when we haven't fixed home yet?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, it's like we're not fixed. How can we go fix other things?
Especially with how
the way that, and
one
of my clients said this the other day. They were talking about the Federal Reserve Bank. They're like, it's not federal, it's not a reserve, and it's not a bank.
Yeah,
right. So
I've heard that too.
Yeah, and it's, they said they were saying anything federal, anything you hear federally funded that's our money.
Yeah.
That's
Exactly. It's all taxpayer
it's
money.
tax money. Like, but the government's paying for it. You're paying. Like,
it's not the government. The government is nothing. The government's us.
Yeah, like the government, they haven't printed that much money.
Yeah, no.
Compared to the amount of money they get. I just was watching on the local news, dude. They said, man, I hope I heard this wrong. Pennsylvania has a $15 billion in taxes. They're trying to figure out what to do with it, or they're like determining now where to divert the what to put in different pools. And like they said it in such a newsworthy manner, where it's just like, oh, and today the $15 billion budget is up on the board, and they're gonna decide. And I'm like, $15 billion.
That's a lot of money.
Yo, I hope I'm wrong, but like that, it doesn't matter, because it doesn't matter if it's not 15 million.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm like, there is just so much. There's so many things that we're paying for it we don't even know.
Gas tax, that's another, like, there's been 2 gas taxes implemented in the last like 4 years, and like you just forget about it because when you pay for gas, you look up at the price, it's not going to show the amount of tax that's on it, but you're going to pay it anyway. And we forget, and like a lot of those gas taxes were for like the infrastructure in New Jersey, and now you completely forgot that there were 2 25-cent gas hikes that you're paying towards just taxes. Imagine if gas was 50 cents cheaper. That would be way better than it is right now. It's little things like that. It's like once you take a little bit, you're never gonna get it back. There's a saying like that. Like
slippery slope.
Yeah, once you lose a little bit, we're never giving you that back.
Yes, once you lose the inch, you don't get the inch back. Yeah, and then they take another inch.
That's why it's yeah, exactly. It's easier to take the inch than it is to take the yard.
Yeah, exactly. They do it an inch at a time until it's a yard, and then you don't even realize it.
Exactly.
Yeah, and they just did. They just raised the interest 0.75%, which is the biggest raise since 1994.
Yeah, and good thing I probably won't be looking for a house for another 2 years, 3 years, but like I'm hoping by that time interest rates and inflation kind of stabilize, because if you're trying to buy a house right now, it's like one of the worst times.
The only people that are making money are the people that I work for, which is a couple of them, is the real estate investors.
Yeah,
they are murdering right now,
because it's like, so like
they do commercial. It's still blown up, but it's not affected the same way. And then they just make money from rent, and everybody, when houses are expensive, everybody's renting.
Yeah, exactly. You kind of get stuck. It's like stuck in this situation where it's so hard to buy a house, rent's expensive, but you're gonna have to pay it to live somewhere. It's like it's so much harder to have your own assets now than ever before. It's wild.
I know, that's what I say, dude. Always have assets. I've 3 cars and a motorcycle. I could always, like, and I'm honestly liquidating some stuff now, like selling some stuff now, but I always did that. Like, I always wanted to have money in a physical object. Like that was always that always seemed beneficial to me in case it's just there, like when I need it.
Exactly. It's because you can always, at least you can do something with it, whereas as we see, money is changing.
It really makes no sense.
Basis.
Yeah, there's that, and it makes no sense to pay rent, actually. Like if you make over a certain amount of money per year, it makes no sense for you to really pay rent because you could just pay. You'll have equity.
Yeah, towards a mortgage.
Like if you just had a roommate and you split it, it would be the same as the rent,
Yeah.
and then eventually you would own 50%.
It's just so. It's like renting seems to be a bad decision because you don't get equity. But then I can't. I'm a person trying to make this decision. Do I go and spend double the amount of money I would have years ago on a mortgage, and then risking that property now drops in a couple of years? Like taking out a 15-year mortgage, what if in 15 years this property goes back to the value that it was before? It sucks to have to be in this situation making those decisions right now.
Yeah.
So hopefully people smarter than I am that are meant to be doing these things figure it out.
Yeah, we had our friend Matt on who became a real estate owner,
Okay.
real estate investor,
Wow.
and from his just sales job, like 6-figure sales job, just kept funneling the money into real estate and kept buying more
Wow,
places.
yeah.
But he's like, I don't buy anything with a septic, right? Like it's like all this stuff.
Things that will cost you money.
Exactly, city water, so they have to fix it. Like it's a science. It's a science. Dude.
Yeah.
I was like I said, I got a few real estate clients, and they I listened to their podcast, and this guy was like, he's like, I'm not buying. He's like, I buy houses near Chick-fil-A's, because they do the research.
Yeah. Huh.
Right. We were talking about this yesterday.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like every
they're
chain
smart,
is
yeah.
gonna do the most research to figure out if it makes sense for
How
that to be
successful
there.
Follow
that
the
area
money.
is going to be.
Follow
Yeah.
the money, dude.
Follow the
Follow
money.
the chicken.
That's a
Follow
great
the
point.
chicken. Purdue, baby.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I mean, I don't know. So, one of our hosts, he was like, I'm 40 something, and like I've never seen. He's like, this is a time that I've never seen, and I hear people say that. I don't pay attention to the economy. Like I don't have I have IRA and forget about it. Like
Yeah.
I don't care if it went down to zero and negatives. I just don't care. Like
Yeah.
I that it's a mute point for me. Like it might as well not exist. I have life insurance. Like that's what I believe in. But apparently we're in like a pretty we're going down into a hole
Yeah.
into like a recession again. And I'm like,
Yeah, it's
hey,
coming.
do you know what's recession proof? Podcast.
Yeah, that's a good point.
yeah, it's true.
Everyone's going to still be able to listen. Yeah,
Exactly.
still, yeah, that's a
and
good
when you
point,
have
actually.
when you have companies who lay people off,
Yeah.
they like to listen to podcasts. That's
That's-
why
yeah.
I started that business in COVID. It was
That's
the perfect
that's
time.
a good point. Yeah, because people are going to be bored. They're going to be listening to stuff. So yeah,
They better listen to this.
And you're not going to be infected by the price. Doesn't change for how you're going to listen to it. So you don't have to worry about it.
Yep. And it's just exactly. And if your production costs are covered by what you're doing already, if you have like a business, like my business took a hit in the last 3 months. Like I'd never taken a hit like I just took.
Well, people are going to be cleaning. It's like you clean up the things that you can kind of save a little bit money on. That's people spend less money on the luxuries and focus more on the essentials.
Yes.
That's where
this is an add-on for most
yeah,
people.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So
Yeah. I do it because of the passion, but you know,
yeah.
I just love to do it. I wouldn't do it. I'd do it for we're working on the Patreon and the sponsors and all that
Yeah.
stuff. But yeah, it's I mean that kind of ties into what you were saying kind of off camera before of like building the brand and like having it's I talked to a guy today. His girlfriend has about 1 million followers combined.
Okay.
About 300,000 on Twitter, 700,000 on YouTube. He said to me just almost like in passing, like you know how hard it is to be an influencer, and like really I don't, but it is. Like these people making TikToks, dude, they're not laying around.
Yeah, no, it's like you got to be, and they're like thinking constantly of like, oh, how can I produce the best content to put something out, and that's like when you're running a page like that. It's like there's a difference between a personal page and then like a page you're using as a business, because you're going to try to want to get, you want that content to be easily findable. You want it to be easily digestible and be able to reach the target audience group that you want. Whereas like a personal page is more, you're not caring about it as much. It's more for like personal recognition, personal development. Like, oh, like here's like my life. And then there's your business.
Yep.
And sometimes it's tough, like, at least knowing like what should I focus on? Should it be should I make everything should I be the business, or should I have a separate account solely devoted to my?
So what was your determination on this after speaking to some people?
Yeah, so I posted on my Snapchat story because I like to get people's opinions on Snapchat because I have a little bit more personal followers on that.
Me too. Yeah.
And I basically was like, I need feedback on like, if I should make a separate page for my coaching and nutritional, where I would just post clients, post like your nutritional advice, exercise advice, and then have my personal page, which is more of like my personal bodybuilding pictures and content on that page. And people, I got very, very split, where some people really, really wanted the separate page, and then other people were like, no, just do your own page, but like do the content you would on the separate page into its own, like with your personal page. So I think that is what's going to be the move, is just stop caring as much what people think and put more of that nutritional coaching based content on my own page. And if you lose some followers, you lose some followers who aren't interested in that content. That's fine. I just want to be able to make sure my account is appealing to those people who want the content I'm putting out. Because if I don't want you to look at my Instagram and be like, oh, it's like you can't figure out what the purpose is here. I would like for it to be looked at and then easily be able to click on the things that you find interesting and want to see that are informative.
Yeah, I mean, look at it like a more plates, more dates, dude.
Yeah.
Like, it's like he doesn't need more pages. Like, he had, like, his life is that.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like he can advertise training on there, or if he can advertise coaching or whatever. Like,
yeah, and his has become so focused on like reviewing things, like reviewing
you
videos.
should do some of that.
Yeah, I've thought about like video review. I did one on TikTok. It actually did very well, which was just taking one other guy's TikTok, stitching off of it, and I was like, he was saying this whole thing about like how blood sugar spikes are bad for you, and I was
just
like,
make sure it's something you disagree with.
That's basically what I did, and I like even got someone commented who's like, you should do some more, like, you don't know what you're talking about, and I was like, well, you're gonna get that.
It's happened to our clips too.
Yeah, and it's like,
because I'll have clips
with
Sean, like with Sean or something like that, like those nutrition clips that he'll have, and food pyramid and stuff like that or whatever, or he'll talk about you don't need that much protein, and all this stuff, and then people in the comments are like, send me that study, and then he sends them PubMed, and they're like, PubMed isn't good, and then it's like, all right, dude, like,
they'll find anything to disagree.
Exactly, yeah, but which is good.
Yeah,
that boosts the algorithm.
Yeah, exactly. And it gets to, it's like TikTok and Reels, like they're structured so that they get your attention very quickly, rather than being like solely informative.
Yes.
Because a lot of times these very difficult, very like detailed conversations and topics take way more than a 60-second clip to actually explain in full detail. Because I basically said in this TikTok, this guy showed a blood sugar spike and was from like, I forget exactly what it was, but making it seem like blood sugar spikes is an indicator of health. And I was like, health is such a way more complicated issue. You shouldn't be basing like, if someone's basing health off blood sugar, solely blood sugar, they're probably not someone you should take health advice from. And then this guy commented and was like, "Oh, you're so wrong." I was like, I didn't even like say what he was saying. I was just saying you shouldn't base health on one indicator only. Like, you're missing the point here.
Don't judge the car by the brand of the tires.
Yeah, and it's like, if I could do a multi-minute explanation of this, kind of like and that's why a podcast
this is the
so
best
nice
place for it. For that to happen,
because
for you to actually explain that.
Yeah, exactly. Because like blood sugar is, there's multiple factors that go into health, not just blood sugar. It's like your whole blood levels, your lipids, your heart health, your liver health, and carbohydrates are such one piece of the puzzle. Your blood sugar is you're going to have blood sugar anytime you eat carbohydrates. Just because it's spiking or if it's neutral doesn't mean you're hurting or helping your body. It's way more complicated than that. So anyone who says like, oh, look at this one indicator for health, it's like, you have to be so much more detailed for health. Like there's so many factors that come in. So I get people will do this on TikTok to get the clicks and the shares. They'll simplify and be like, this is the one way, look at this is insane, like, don't do this or do this. And it's like 99% of the time what they're talking about is a lot more complicated than what that is involved in that short clip.
And I try to do it with our clips. I try to, it's hard. A balance, dude. It's hard to edit those clips, because what I do is I grab like 4 minutes, 5 minutes, and you might have said something at minute 2 and then something else at minute 5, and I'll bring the minute 5 over, and I'll connect them because it's more of a coherent thought. And then everything I do is just cut fat, and that's the problem though, is that I'm kind of taking things out that I want to include a lot of times.
But at least you're fully analyzing it, and I think it's, as long as you're stating like I think the problem is like when you're touching on a touchy subject and you're making it a one argument, like this is the argument you should have, this is the opinion you should have. When you actually disclaim, oh, like this is more than just what was discussed here. Here's how you find the full thing. Like that's way more, I think, of ethical to do, because like your words are going to influence people rather than be like, here's this 1 second clip, listen to this is how you should do it.
And the thing that sucks, which I wish didn't suck, but when people are on Instagram or TikTok, they're on Instagram and TikTok, so they're not actually looking to watch a 1 hour, 2 hour thing.
And that's the balance is between like you're trying to catch people's attentions because we only really pay attention to things for a couple seconds before we move on to the next thing. There's a balance between like what information, and this is why being back to being an influencer must be so easy. Well, it's not, because we're trying to think, how do I capture your attention that quickly while also giving you content that you're gonna like grow, be educated on, and like get some insights from. Like it's very difficult to actually do both of those things at once because of the short time frame that you have for human attention span.
Yeah, it's hard to have both at the same time. It's hard to have the appealing. It's hard to be appealing, and also you can't have breadth and depth like at the same time. Like you really can't. It's like, all right, then you pick one or the other, and then you're gonna segment. But yeah, when it comes to the influencers too, if you're creating anything online, your job is for people to judge you. Like that's what you're saying. You're saying,
that's
hey, people, this is my thing, and they go, maybe not. Oh, this is really good.
Yep.
Or they hate on you, or they call me a piece of shit, or something like that, where it doesn't happen all the time. But like that one post, like you got people calling me names. It's like, dude, like if you want any argument, please don't go there.
Yeah.
Don't you know that?
Yeah, exactly.
People they're not smart, but...
And I think it's like, you as a content producer, what you're putting out is going to be based on what your goal is. Like some people might just want, like they might not actually believe what they're saying, they just want to get the clicks and shares. And then you get people who genuinely want to put out content that's helping people. Like for me, I like when I put out a post about a certain topic related to bodybuilding or fitness, and people are responding and they're like, yo, I didn't know this, or like this is super helpful, like thank you. Like that is what gives me fulfillment out of what I'm posting online, where other people maybe they're more structured to the fulfillment of like, oh, like look how many people I got to look at this post, like not really thinking about the content itself.
Dude, I got 700 likes, 12,000 views, and 5 comments, and I'm like, the post with like 100 likes got like 30 comments or something, and I'm like, I really do want the genuine human connection. That's what I value over anything. I value a DM, I value a comment, like I value an interaction. Yeah,
like being able to benefit and make an impact on someone's life.
But on the other side of it, 12,000 people watched it.
It's like there's,
so they could have been impacted.
And that's where money comes in, because really money comes from higher exposure. You're not typically, and it's just the world we live in, the like more educational based, like more conversation based, longer taking experience is gonna be exposed to less people, so it's gonna make less money than, you know, getting to a lot of people but not being as educational. Like people really the money system within influencing is really solely based on the amount of people you're exposing to, not as much as the content you're putting out.
Yeah, and it's having that specific, it's knowing those people are a specific type of person.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah.
You know, and I was talking to this guy about it today, because so his thing is they have, like I said, 1 million followers, whatever. Mm-hmm. They're creating a podcast together, and I'm like, dude, listen, you're in the 1% of the 1% already having this brand. Having access to this brand to launch the podcast, right? Yeah. So like 90% of the stuff I'm going to tell people, I don't really need, it doesn't apply to you, because they're not starting where I'm at with tens of thousands or whatever. You're starting with millions.
Yeah, it's so much more helpful.
Exactly. So you could literally beta test it so much easier. Mm-hmm. Like the audience will tell you what they want way more. But dude, I love, like, dude, if I have like you were saying, like if you had like 5 or 10 people reach out to you about, hey, what do you think I should do? That's so valuable, dude. And I have people commenting on our shit. I don't know who these people are. They fucking love it, dude. They love the podcast, and it's like, I love them. Like I don't know you really, but that's awesome. Like I think that's a crazy fucking concept to me. And still,
I don't get and maybe it's just a personality type. Like some people just don't care about it at all. Like they care so much more about like, oh, I'm like the popular because I'm on like on the top of the pages, getting the most likes, getting the most views, and like to me, I'm sure it's nice, but like the authenticity of my work is definitely way more meaningful. That like finds more purpose internally than some like outside motivator like money and views. And I think that's, I know there's, when I took a philosophy course or whatever, and they say like internal motivation will always get you further than external motivation, but it seems like the algorithm says no to that, the social media algorithm.
Intrinsic versus extrinsic, right? That's really what it is. But so when you, we did this about maybe, I don't know, 8 months ago, something like that? Or
Yeah.
I think it was in the fall?
No, I think it was December. So yeah, okay. About six months ago.
Yeah, 6 months ago. So where are you at now in terms of your competitions, in terms of your prep, and then what do you, like, what's happening now, and then why are you doing that?
So I did the show in November where I got the first place novice, second place open. The second place open was what I cared about more. So top two in a regional show, which is what I did, get your national qualification. So I got second, got that national qualification. So now you can go and compete in the national level shows to get your pro card. So that is what I'll be doing in 11 weeks. The competition is August 31st. So I'm about a little over 10 weeks out, 11 weeks out. So that will be the focus for these next few months, next few weeks. And to get your pro card, you got to place top two in that class. And typically at the national level, like I think I competed against, it was a total of 15 to 20 guys in the regional level. Now for nationals, you're competing against around 30 to 40 guys, and they're all had to get the national qualification to be there. So you're going up against top of the top competition that aren't pros yet to get the pro card. So I'm interested to see how I'll stack up. I would hope to make, first goal is first call out. So what first call out is your top five. You're of the top five because it's the first people they call out to judge. And then the dream would be to make top two and get the pro card now so I could compete at the pro level going forward.
Do you feel pressure more than before?
No, not. I wouldn't say there's pressure because no outside person is holding me by the stakes and being like, you need to get this. It's myself.
Yes.
So I feel like, and that makes me feel like I have control over how well I do. If I have to, follow the plan that I have for myself, because I do my own coaching. My plan basically is to stick with coaching myself, and if I have an issue, like don't do as well at this show that I'd like to, then I'll reach out for a coach and maybe work with someone, because I want to see what the judges say, get my feedback when I'm at a national stage versus a regional stage, because it's going to be a lot more competitive. But no pressure. Yeah, I hold myself to a very high standard, I think. So I tried to.
You've been at that level in terms of the way you approach it from, at least in the last, since you've gotten to that national level.
Yeah.
I think that also shows like the indication of like, I've already been here. Like I've already been in this mindset. I don't have to, I'm not building.
And you learn.
Now it's refining. Yeah.
You definitely learn from your experience. Like I remember from my last show, I think I had to make the last couple weeks way more drastic and harsh on myself compared to this year, where so I did my show and then I maintained my weight for a little bit, then went to a bulk, but I didn't aggressively bulk as hard as I did last year, so I maintained a lower body fat percentage. And when you cut from that lower body fat percentage and you're not I cleaned up my diet super early, like way earlier, implemented cardio way earlier, you lose that stubborn fat way faster and don't have as much fat compared to what I did last year. So it makes the process of cutting so much easier, where you don't have to starve yourself as hard. You can keep the calories somewhat high. Like right now, calories are still at like 3,000 to 3,200, where last year, like, and eventually mine will get to this year, but I would typically be in like the mid 2000s, and then sometimes even to sub 2,000. Wow. And you feel like garbage on that.
Survive on that.
But doing this prep this time has definitely been way more. It's definitely easier because I've gone through the experience of my last prep and realized that I shouldn't, start it earlier, don't get as fat, and it makes your life 10 times easier.
Where is the show?
This show will be in Pittsburgh. So it's North Americans in Pittsburgh, which is about like a 5-hour drive from here. So it's on a Wednesday, which is weird for shows. Typically they're on the weekends, but how they like to do it for this show is they'll do a different day for each class rather than all the classes on one day to make it better competitor experience. Because I did the regional show. I've been to regional shows for some, like my client Justin, and you're basically there for the entire day just waiting around. Like your client's only...
It's like a track meet.
Yeah, like you're only competing for those 2, 3, 4 minutes, and that's it compared to the hours and hours you're there. So this style makes it a little bit more, a little bit easier for competitors because, you just have your class, you compete, then you have finals, like so much more efficient and so much more relaxing, less stressful, and way less boring. So I'll compete on a Wednesday, so my peak is going to be scheduled to be on a Wednesday rather than typically a Saturday is where most shows are. So yeah, I probably will get down to Pittsburgh Tuesday morning to check in, take off like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then once the show's over, it's Pittsburgh. I want to see the city. There's a lot of I know Pittsburgh's like a beautiful city, so there's a lot of things I want to see there.
Yeah, man, make a little trip out of it.
Yeah, have you been to Pittsburgh?
No.
Okay, I'll have to let you know how it is.
I go to Pittsburgh all the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard it's an awesome city.
I love the city. Yeah, it's great.
Because I personally am not a big city person, but I've heard like
you grew up out here.
I'm not either.
And honestly, Pittsburgh's not like that.
Pittsburgh's super small, so
Yeah.
you can get around it really quick. There's not a lot of traffic.
Yeah, that's nice.
People are really nice.
It's not like a typical city. Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm like,
that's nice. That's nice.
At least it's not driving into like New York City or Philadelphia.
Not even close.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's awesome. I love Pittsburgh.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to it almost just because I've heard it's a beautiful city to check out.
Making me want to go to the show.
Yeah,
man.
yeah. Come check it out.
Yeah,
that's what's tough.
Go for it.
Yeah, I
No,
know.
it's worth it just to go and see Pittsburgh. Like, Pittsburgh is great.
No, I would love. I
It's
feel
just
like
the Wednesday that makes it tough.
it is. I have my own boss, whatever.
Yeah, you could, and I plan on maybe Tuesday
Gotta
working
flex that.
there.
Yeah, there you go.
Like you can always that's
Yeah.
the nice thing about working remote. Is
I would
you can always just throw your laptop up, but you don't want to do that when you're in Pittsburgh. Like you want
I
to
know.
explore.
I'm like, no, but the thing is, hey, I'm a fireman, dude. I just put out fires. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? I'm like, I just wait for something to happen and then I, fix it. But that's the game. But yeah, man, that's it's been really cool because I've been connecting with you for a long time. Like we've been probably 4 or 5 years or something that we were just friends on Instagram or whatever.
Yeah, and then it's just developed into way or kind of went in our own lives, and now it kind of connects on certain things that we both go through at this point.
Exactly, and also just appreciate the expertise too, man. We don't know a lot about these things. The specifics. This is your world, so
I try to simplify things so they're understandable and to the average person, and I like educating. I always said like down the long term I want to be a professor. When I couldn't be a teacher because I can't deal with high school, like I couldn't deal with high school students and younger, but at least college, like you're getting young adults, so that you should care about what you're talking about. So one day I always like teaching and talking and educating on topics because I think it's
we need more people who are jacked and tan.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Hide it under like the white button downs.
All these professors, man, who are out there, look a little pale.
Yeah, for sure.
Man, if my educator was jacked. Oh, actually, that's what Huberman said too. He said one of his therapists was jacked,
really,
and that like changed his because he wanted to be that guy.
Yeah.
It really works. Like having somebody around you who's like super jacked or super smart or like. It's a real inspiration. Like, it's a real motivation.
Yeah, no, same thing with the gym atmosphere. It's like you want people who like when you work around people who are bigger than you, you're like, oh, I want to be like that, and you like work harder.
Yeah, it's easy to be at home and do a little flex in the mirror and think you're some hot shit.
You got to be humbled sometimes.
Yeah, man.
Back then it used to be humbling. Now they just call that bullying.
Yeah.
Dude,
100%. Yeah. It used to be, it used to just be like that's the facts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a different world we live in now.
Yeah. Well, I'm just gonna keep making podcasts. Maybe that'll be.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll help.
That's working. That's going.
We're seeing. We'll see where it goes.
Not hurt by inflation.
Yeah, well,
like we
exactly.
Said before.
I'm saying it's recession proof. Do I have anything to back it up? I don't know. I don't really care.
No, I think it is.
I think it is too because
is music recession proof.
Well, listen, you go through a recession, you still got this.
Yeah,
still got your phone.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
So there's your podcast, right? YouTube's recession proof as hell.
Yep. And podcast apps are free. I think podcast on Apple is free, right? You don't
100%.
have, yeah, you don't.
You
have
can
to pay.
access. Yeah. I mean, I promote the Spotify and the Apple links, and
Spotify's free too. Yeah.
Well, no,
right?
Spotify you have to pay for.
Oh, you do for podcasts?
Yes.
Wow,
I'm pretty
okay.
sure.
Wow, but I mean, most people have iPhones and Apple, so they can listen to it. There.
Yeah, they can. No. Yeah, 100%. They can get on. Apple. And but we're on a lot of other places too that I don't even know.
Recession isn't touching you,
dude. We're good, baby. We're rolling. I'm trying to do some in-person stuff, man. That's gonna be next, like in-person stuff with other people, like other podcasts.
Yeah.
Because I've been locked up in here, dude. I just work in here, you know. So I've just been locked up since March 2020. I've been working in the same desk and same chair and everything, man. So
sometimes a change of scenery spice things up a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. And trying to just expand, you know,
Yeah.
help people do this. It's you know, it's kind of if you have the investment, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure.
So,
It really, and you got the equipment for it where it comes out a good product, you know.
I appreciate it, man.
Of course.
You got to get on some more shows.
I know.
I can recommend you to one. I have a friend. His name's Luis. Had him on the podcast, and he's got a show in Boonton.
Okay.
And it's a sit down conversation.
Yeah.
You know, super chill and relaxed. So I'll pitch you to him, and
Yeah,
I've been
sure.
pitching him like half the guests and
That's
just
so
building his
funny. Yeah,
podcast up. So I'm getting my wisdom teeth out next week.
Oh God.
And then that's gonna be fun.
I had that done.
Yeah, that's I can't wait. And then I'm actually planning on moving, man.
Oh really? Where?
Texas.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah. So we went there. We kind of like it. I'm looking at
I'll fly
apartments
out.
there. Yeah, you're.
I
gonna
love
have to fly
Texas.
out.
Oh, I've never been there, but I've only heard good things. So.
I don't know anybody who's moved there and said, "Oh, I hate Texas."
Yeah, no, but people definitely hate Jersey. So
Yeah, and dude, hey, I love Jersey. I'll miss it 100%, dude. I feel like I feel like I've done a lot in Jersey.
What part of Texas?
Dallas.
Dallas.
Fort Worth.
Okay.
I know
Gotcha.
Austin's dope too. I'm gonna check
Houston?
that out. Houston, I haven't gone. I've
Okay.
only gone to Dallas, but
Gotcha.
I haven't really explored. Like it's not an
It's
impulse.
a big state
It's
too.
a huge state.
Yeah.
It's not an impulse decision. Like we've taken 6 months to decide.
Yeah.
But we didn't look anywhere else. Like
Okay.
that's
You
just me and
were-
my
You
girl.
were committed on Texas. Well,
Yeah.
I thought about Florida for a little bit, but now it's like Florida's just as expensive as New Jersey is because of the amount of people that have gone there. So
Yes.
it's like
Texas is still not that expensive.
Thank God. Yeah. You
depending
still
on where
have-
you live.
still have a location available. Yeah, I know it's like houses there are a fraction of the price than they are here.
Yeah, the rent's not too brutal. You could get a decent place, but I got this wisdom teeth. I'm going to Texas for 4 days to go look at places,
Yeah.
and I'm kind of SOL for this podcast. Like there's kind of this 2 week time. Tret's working a lot, so I'm doing a podcast episode swap.
Okay.
So I don't know if you're follow or subscribe on any of those platforms, but we're gonna put one of my friend's podcasts on this podcast, and then put one of these episodes on his.
Oh, that's cool.
He's gonna choose the one of mine he wants on his, and I'm gonna choose the one of his he wants on mine.
that's
So
cool.
we're gonna do that. Yeah, it's
Cool,
gonna be interesting.
cool.
But yeah, man, seeing how the show evolves. But I am excited to get in a different state and listen. Like I'm good. I will have work in Jersey.
Yeah.
Because I built my base here.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'll be flying back a lot to like work here and stuff. But kind of excited to just see where life takes me, dude.
It's a new start, and like I don't know, you never know what's going to happen when you get out of your, the environment you've grown up in. New Jersey for you and I both, I think, has been pretty much a childhood living here.
Mm-hmm.
So it's you get that's why I liked getting out to Delaware a little bit. You get exposed to just like a new environment, new people. You never know who you're going to meet too. Like it's crazy.
Dude, even South Jersey. I lived in South Jersey for 2 years. I don't regret a single bit. I lived in the straight ghetto of South Jersey, in like the lowest income area you can live in the town I was in, and I loved it. Like I just loved getting exposed, man. And hey, I'm 23. What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah,
Will I come
exactly.
back and live in my parents' house? Like I'm doing that now.
You got plenty of years to do it. Yeah,
Yeah.
might as well take the risk.
That's exactly,
Why not
man.
take the
Why
risk?
not, man?
Yep,
exactly.
yep.
Dude, man, I really appreciate you coming. Really
course.
appreciate doing this. I always love doing this.
Yeah.
And let people know where they can find you. I'll have it in the description and everything. But
So if anyone wants to follow me, it's for Instagram. I think it's Jack_Singleton98. I do have a TikTok. If you use that, let me get it real fast. Turn the volume down so no one hears TikTok. My TikTok is JackSingleton98, no spaces.
Okay.
So those are the main two places where I'll post my content. So yeah, and feel free I do coaching. I always give advice to anybody, even if it's not just straight coaching. So feel free to reach out, ask me questions. I'm always open to anything. So
yeah, Jack's your guy, dude. Go to, man.
I'm an open book. I
Yep.
always say that.
Hey man, we'll get you on some more shows, man. We got to get you out.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to talk about that I can talk about for days and
I
days
know,
and
dude.
days.
We just did 2 hours.
Yeah, I checked my watch. I was like,
We're
holy
over
shit,
2 hours right
it's
now. It
9:30.
flies, doesn't it?
Dude, it does. It feels like I got here like a half an hour ago. It's
To anybody
wild.
still here, love you. Appreciate you.
Yeah, you're a trooper.
This was a dense one.
We talked. We were all over with topics, dude. But good content, you know.
All right, exactly. All right, but hey, I appreciate it,
yeah.
Jack, Tret. Thanks for
Always.
doing this today, guys. And as you know, I say it every time, and I'll say it again. This has been another episode of BopCast Tuned In with Jack Singleton. All of his links in the description there. And as you know, we are on all platforms, even the ones nobody uses. All right, and we'll see you on the next one.
Great.
Peace.